Okay. Okay. Where's the shit? Da-da. Is it live on YouTube as well? Airborne?
I don't know, man. I don't watch YouTube. I'll check.
I don't watch YouTube, man. Fuck.
I can be checking the YouTube stream.
Ah, it's okay. I see it. The people are. I think that most people are friendly here in this community.
Wow.
I think that most people are nice.
You think or you know?
I got A. Roof. McCain shit. I got. Plätzchen. Nee. So.
That's quite a board.
That's quite a big board, man. Ho ho ho, bitches.
We are live.
Wait a second, I have to get this dog here. What's the problem? What's the problem? What's this? Okay, show me. What's the problem? Da, the Gutzli. Okay. GG's. Komm, zurück. Komm, zurück. Bitte zurück. 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 Oh my god, baby. So, komm, Platz. It's not easy with this Christmas dog. Very angry. Anything to say? Fucking mushy. We're gonna start in 5 minutes with the first round. Hello, 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 hello. The tournament starting in 5 minutes. Then GG's, relax, Sinoside, relax.
GG's Nordman, first sub of the day.
Subber, man. What a subber.
33 gifted subs to the channel.
Nero.
Boy, you come over here, son, to my lobby, you go the fuck back yours.
Yes, those 1K are adding up, sir. Mr. Fizbin. Anybody has any question?
Put him on the dirt. Put his ass in the dirt.
Very angry, sir.
Emotional, damn it!
I think we're gonna listen to the whole night to this Hercules Honky Santa.
Ripper, you're like a fucking dog, like a softball
Papa
red.
subscribe
God
for
save
20
the
months.
Queen.
GG's Papa.
Ah, papi chulo ala. So, the first
Prime as well.
2-3 things that I'm gonna explain to you is, let's wait 4, 5, 6 minutes more when all the people come. One thing, if you wanna watch the stream back, it's gonna be on YouTube. Second thing, I will not play any music that is, how you say that, modern, because if I do that, you cannot rewatch your tournament tomorrow. So the only thing is gonna be that Airborne and Subme are gonna sing.
I don't know. I never agreed to that.
If somebody else wants to
we
sing,
agreed,
you
Airborne.
can come in the party and sing.
No, we did
We're
not.
doing a duet.
Anybody can come in the party. Yes, anybody can come
If
in the
somebody
party.
wants to sing, you have to sing. Then another thing is, there is this 1K bits. Every time we reach the 1000 bits, either me, Subme, or Airborne is gonna drink a shot. Airborne is pussing around still a bit, but he's not gonna puss around, I hope. Then, the other thing is, first 4 rounds is gonna be a regular solo tournament. You guys go all in the same lobby, if we have 80% or 70% in the lobby, then we play that round. It's not everybody gonna get in. That's why we only count 2 out of 4 rounds. So you need to get only 2 times in. Do you understand that?
Herr Norman gave another sub.
Reaper, you fucking kuchulu kir
Norman.
mushi.
Right now.
Any questions?
Man, god damn it.
4 bits.
Jeez, Alta, we are coming. Submit's gonna drink.
Am I first?
You are first.
Fucking penguin, fucking bitch.
Guys, really, any questions? Ask now. I'm gonna read the names down now who signed up. Listen carefully, because if you're not on the board, I don't count your points, cocksuckers.
Shit.
General Commando, Nero, Norkins, Arjen, Hercules, Bum-ass Davis, Papa Schlauch, Frantimi, Mickey Angelova, Double Alpha, Chompus, Jaffa, Bash, Luca Machine, Red Dead Fred, Crow Guardian, Lucy, Deden, Robin Hood, MGG151617, Fuad, Supernatural Fun, Edgar Forever, Woo Wah Woo Woo Wah Woo Woo, I don't know who that is, Tomba, Sami, Samu, Fisben, Edibloy, XLLGFL/GLLX. Who the fuck is that also, man? I didn't find his KD. Who the fuck is that? I mean, who puts that fucking name? XLLGLXX@G. Then we have Snoopy, Dark Pain, and Killjoy, and the last one that sign up is Crypto. Crypto, not the Cryptillion, this one. So, I'm missing the KD of your friend, Coxie, and missing the KD of Cryptillion. Yeah, GG's for the fucking names. Yeah, does somebody have his KD? Why is my camera shaking?
Yeah, we got some bits now.
Let me start to take a shot.
You're nervous.
Fuck off.
I take a half with you.
Opening the bottle. There we go. That was the bottle opening.
Cheers, I take also one. Very angry.
First shot.
So I think a half shot also.
Another
Oh, you took half, I took a full shot. Fuck.
Sally
Okay.
gets you.
Sami, take another one for Chompus. GG's.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh my god.
Get the fucking ball!
Oh my god.
GG's.
Cryptolino, how much is your KD? And then we can start the round. And guys, one thing.
He has 1.61 in Firestorm. This XLR.
Oh, I need the Cryptolino. Okay. Guys, one thing. We're gonna start the round. You play 4 rounds. I count the 2 best. It's gonna be divided by the KD. And then we're gonna do the hunt tournament. Any questions? Higher KD, desto more kills you have to do. GG's in the chat. Okay, 1.36. Guys, please write me in the stream if you die, how many kills you have, okay? Is everybody ready to search the first round?
Yeah.
Everybody is ready. I need 10 readies, mushies. Come on, 10 readies. 1, 2, 3.
5.
I only count the people that sign up in the tournament. The other one, I don't give a shit. Five.
Yeah, we have
Vicious
10 now.
users back.
Yeah, alright. Maximus, you didn't sign up, so I'm not counting exactly. You can just play for fun. Alright. Make the countdown. Jaffa, shut up. 5,
What were we wanting?
3, 2, 1. Go. Go, go, go. If you're not signed up, then just tell me now. 300? Sheesh. 500. GG's in the chat for her Norman. Who is favorite to win this thing, guys? I don't know. I can't say because I don't know. I would say everybody has a chance tonight. Doesn't matter if he's totally good or he's totally shit or he's not good or he's good. But guys, oh fuck, I forgot about the point system. Point system, don't worry, there's gonna be enough teamers. Point system, 4 rounds, 2 of your best rounds I count, 2 points per kill, 6 points for the win, 4 points for the second, 2 points for the third. If somebody wanna put the bounty, he can put it now on a player. If a guy has a bounty on himself, then if he dies, he gets -3 points. If he gets in the top 2 ranks, he gets +3 points. Then...
Yeah, there's 32 people in the game.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Then, teaming on teamers. You can do whatever you want, but if you make collateral damage, minus points. If you kill a teamer and you have a video proof, but you need to kill at least 2 alone, you get 2 extra points, we said? Yeah, 2 extra points. So, I think the most people are in. Good luck, everybody. Maximus, should I sign you up for the tournament also or not?
Airborne, where is the server now?
This is American server.
Yeah,
East.
but where?
Oh, sorry, the channel points doesn't work now.
Probably New York.
Maximus?
Samo's in.
Okay, sign him up.
Timmy's in.
Guys, we have 2 more players. That's Crypto and Maximus.
Yeah, I'll find the KD.
I need only Maximus KD. And guys, every time after every round, tell me what was your score, please. Boom, 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 boom.
Local machine is in.
Shit, Papa Schlau with the 5 gifted sub bomb altar. No.
GG, Papa.
Fuck, thank you, Papa. Papi Chulo. Maximus, what is your KD?
Fucking Ripper machine.
Hola, Mr. Tornado. 1.9, okay.
Take my money and put it on your bank account, fucking Ripper.
You stay in the lobby, guys. This tournament is a regular tournament. We play until the end. You count your kills. After you die, just tell me if you had 0 kills or how many. You can stay in the lobby. We play 4 rounds now. And after, I'm gonna explain you the last 3 rounds.
1.9 KD.
Thank you. We only need... I see, yes, Sammy. We took the time and we checked every single player. GG's to Subme, Airborne, and myself. I wish you good luck. 50 players lobby. Boom Alta. Lobby Alta. Yes. Spectate. Kurva, hudo, picha, vole. If you still want to sign up in the tournament, we still have 2 spots. Tell me now, bitches. Tell me now. I see Fresh Rafits in the stream. Suddenly he's in the game too. Is he playing in the tournament or is he scared as fuck? Because he's German. Okay. What is your KD, Fresh? Okay, okay. Okay, can you check Fresh Rafits KD? After?
Yeah, Maximus says he's drunk, so his KD goes to 3.0.
That's not Maximo, that's Maximus.
Yeah, Maximus.
Ah. Alright, good luck, 50 lobby. Subme, where you wanna go?
can go to this little place between Guderos and Frikatin.
Airborne, you're also here?
Yeah.
Inside this.
Guderos and Frikatin? What the fuck is that?
We're gonna die like in the water. They're
Yeah.
out. Just go to hell.
Sure.
Go to Hallboy.
You see Jaffa next to me in the plane.
Yeah, Jaffa can suck a dick. Alright,
Let's go.
let's
shoot
die
the
next to Havdalar on the left side, guys.
Yeah.
Left side by the red house, red safe
With my
house.
ping, you see in the stream?
No.
Do it one more time.
I'm a
Yeah,
bit late. Oh my god, so many people here.
Yeah, I see exactly.
Oh shit. Mark Bilan, but he didn't sign up, he just plays, okay. I see you guys here dying.
I see you swimming close to me here. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm dying slowly now.
We're by you. We're in the water.
Yeah.
Where?
Oh my god, Airborne, you're so dead now.
Guys, I won't kill you.
I died.
Yeah. Well, just shoot in the water. I'm in the water.
Okay, I see Samo is out, Fuad is out, we have
GG, I'm watching Airborne.
is he
No,
dead,
I'm watching you,
Airborne?
Ripper. No, I'm watching you, Ripper.
No problem, we can come later. Fresh Rafid just killed one of the teamers. We need to keep track of that. Samo is out, I think, with no kills. Norkins is also out with no kills.
We're watching Hercules.
Ah, nice.
Hercules jumps to wild almost all the time.
Yeah.
Still rocking the hate us.
Luka Machine with the first kills. I don't know if Fuad had any kills.
Masangus is
Killed
a
a
teamer
Norwegian.
also.
The teamers go down like flies, man. Soft as fuck.
Hercules has not found his MG yet. He's almost like a turtle without a shell if he doesn't have his MG.
Could be Diplo's brother then.
Rafis has 5.40 KD.
5 points, how much?
4.
Oh my god. He's gonna be so fucked in that tournament. You need to kill a lot. Oh, Fuad destroyed Samo. Okay. So Fuad with 1 kill. I missed the other ones. You guys saw who killed who? I missed a little bit the start. Nero with the Maximus kill!
Maximus.
Nero the Slayer. Boom Alta.
GG's to Nero.
Wow, the island was not looted yet.
Oh.
That is a surprise.
Lucky Hercules. Maximus, what happened?
Now he's good for a while.
How did Nero United destroy you, my friend? What the fuck?
He just completely traded in all of his
Oh,
weapons.
Oh, God! Made a trap, baby!
Fratini.
Woo! Dirty American!
Fizbin with
GG's.
the kill.
Fizban with the kill. Oh, Sammy? What?
Fuak killed Papa.
Fizban killed Sammy? And Fuad killed Papa?
Nice.
Nice.
GG.
Oh my god.
Hercules passes up.
GG's.
Sniper, okay.
Did you
I
see the
downed
side?
myself. Did you?
Take a shot.
I did.
Stop.
Did you?
Another one.
Yeah.
GG sent aside.
And the side doesn't know shit. No problem, Papa. I only count 2 rounds, guys. Remember, only 2 rounds out of the first 4.
Hercules hanging out in the open like he owns the place. GG's.
In 1 shot.
Well, he does. He said it himself in the sound clip. It's my lobby.
I don't know who is Machete, but doubler alpha is that. So no kills for him if I'm correct.
Hercules is in a fight now.
Oh, Sammy. Captain Morgan, GG's. So Sammy, 0 kills, is that correct?
GG Fizzbub.
Oh, how did Fizban kill Sammy? He eats some German sausage? Is that you quitting after 1 round? Oh, okay. For what I made this big video.
Oh, someone's shooting Hercules from across.
Ah, I thought I can already. So is Hercules gonna play that aggressive? Is this a European lobby? It is, no?
He said he's playing.
This is American
Tommy.
lobby. This is NA.
Tommy says he's playing. I remember my first tournament. For the tournament, I tied with Sammy Kebab.
Oh my god.
I even have the screenshot of the scoreboard.
We got a gun here.
Tomba! Killed Fratimi. I don't know. Fratimi has 0 kills, I think, no? Yabanito with a kill. That's this weird name, no? Yabanito.
Now Hercules has 6 smokes. He should be good for a while.
He is good. But he doesn't have an MG. Oh, and Cryptilian Bamass is out. I don't know if he has 1 kill or not. Tomba with another kill.
Fizzbun killing
Fizban,
again.
another kill. Wow. Fizban kill.
Unforgiven? Wow. Guys, are you writing those kills down or is it only me?
You're the one with the board.
Yeah, but on a fucking paper.
D-Den killed Tomba.
Oh, that is also your nice. So Tomba is out. I think Tomba with 2 kills.
Hercules met
Fight
someone.
now.
Yeah, and I think it's someone using MG42 on him.
Oh. Unforgiven, you playing in the tournament?
He's in the sandwich now.
You still can sign up. Unforgiven. Unlucky, guys. You still have 3 rounds to go. I only count your best 2 rounds. Yeah, but you're still in the round or you dead?
Mark Milan killed.
You didn't sign up, so...
No.
Okay, Tomba, we have 2 kills. That's correct. Thank you, Tomba. Crypto, you dead or not?
I don't think he's dead.
I don't know, it's gonna be a little bit hard here for Hercules. He's surrounded by enemies. What's up, Puerto Rico? Welcome back! Jump us, little fishman! Jump us! Jump us! So fishman, jump us, layer. I told him, take a fucking engine camp. So fishman is out with 2 kills, GG's. Fizzban! Fizzban! Oh, Jumpers is the beast. Don't forget, guys. I only count 2 of your... D-Dan just slayed Krogar. I think Krogar didn't have a kill this round. So Fizzban is dead. D-Dan with 2 kills already. Buenos. The zone is getting smaller, still 23 alive.
Yeah, Hercules picked up the video.
He got a video, he didn't find the MG yet, he's crying.
Ah, he's ready now.
Yeah, his video is not his favorite.
No, but it does the job for him, you know.
Yeah, I mean...
Jaffa.
Jaffa with the first kill on Aaron. I don't know, Aaron also didn't sign up. Unforgiven, Aaron, you guys are also in the tournament. Still have the chance to tell me. Is Fresh Defeats dead? Oh, I was just talking about it. Fua with another kill. And
GG's to
Fresh
Fua.
Defeats had 1 kill, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a teamer kill, so he didn't get the second one.
Ah, we only get him. American football starts in 3 hours, no?
It's already started. There's already a game going.
Oh, the Baltimore Ravens, or what are you gonna watch? Ah.
I'm probably not gonna watch any, because I'm doing this and then I'm headed to a party right after.
Oof. Come on, Hercules, show us something. Carlitos, you shut the fuck up. You don't play solo, and you're scared to play solo. So talk when you play.
Going high ground.
Cleveland Browns. Oh, I have my fantasy team. I need. Oy, Hercules. Is he?
There's someone with the MG there.
Right in front of him. Right in front of you!
Play in the tournament and show us, Carlitos. Oh no, come on, we want the fucking action.
We got someone who's not camping.
That
in the bush.
Idibloy in the tank, is he here?
I mean, there is a chance.
No problem, Killjoy. I only count 2 rounds of the first 4, so if you make it for the last 2, you're good. Oh my god.
No, Diablo is not here.
Ah, no problem. Jumpers? Slate? Another one? Alta!
GG.
Is Mama playing with Jumpers account? I have the feeling. Oh, come on, come on. There has to be this third party now. There has to be, that he got it. Audience with 1 kill. And Hercules. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky.
He has awfully lots of grenades.
I don't know who the other guys are, but
I don't know who those people are.
we still have to have a lot of people. I don't know where is Edgar Forever. Supernatural Fun is wow. Dark Pain. Probably not even here, Dark Pain, as I told him. Snoopy, is Snoopy in the round? I think he is. Robin Hood is not in the game.
Oh, someone on the road right in front of him.
Yep. Oh, the teamers.
Brazilian's down.
Reptilian is down with 1 kill. Maximus down with 0 kills.
Oh, that guy must be one shot by now.
Where are the teamers? Tell us where they are. You know, 2 extra points for killing the teamers.
Someone's in the water, probably underneath.
They're so screwed.
Ooh,
Look
look
at
how
Machine
Machine
got
killed Jumpers. GG's Jumpers, 2 kills.
We're right in front of him. Oh my god!
Dude. It's fucking video, man. GG's Jumpers, good job. Oh, this guy's also a video RMG. It's the fight of the videos. Oh, soon he's gonna be out of plates. Putting a last plate, it's Lazy F. Ooh, this guy's watching the other direction. Come on, Eric, get those kills. Where is Mickey Angelova? Fratimi, I think 0 kills. No? Can you check the stats already, Sapi, or not? Yabanito with another kill. Is that teamers on Hercules?
Teamers are right up behind them up the hill. They're close by.
Somebody has a request here. Airborne.
The final countdown?
Oh. Enemies coming on! Oh my god. Mickey the Ficky, Hercules with a kill.
Hercules streaming
Whose
right now.
KG did you want now then?
No, just if it's correct, but I don't know, I'm just... Red Dead Fred is also not in the game, I think. Then Lucy... Didn't saw Lucy yet. Robin Hood. MGG, Edgar Forever. A lot of people died already from the tournament.
Yeah.
Nero is still alive, I think, or not?
What's up, Puerto Rico?
I didn't see him die yet, so I guess
Fuat's still
Fuat.
getting kills.
GG's to him.
What has good rounds, 4 kills already?
I run into a guy now.
Yabanito killed. Oh, Nero is out with 1 kill. Yabanito killed 1.
Jaffa is still
Jaffa
strong.
killed
There,
one.
Eden killed Mark Milan.
Eden killed already 3 GG's. So Jaffa, Diden are still in, and
What?
this guy,
Fuat as well.
Fuad is also in. Supernatural Fun? Where is he? MG, I didn't see MG 156. Edgar Forever. Oh, you have to kill both of them, Hercules. Both of you need to kill 2. Snoopy is in the round? Good. Why is he signing up, Edgar? Work. God damn it. I have to make papers here and this? Fuck. So Supernatural Fun is probably also not in. He's not saying anything, so this round 0 points. Wawa Wiwa is also not in. Idibloy, I think he's not in. Snoopy. Hello Mario. Mr. Shopping Queen. Alright, let's go to the final 8 players, guys. Final 8, who's gonna make it? Airborne, stop me.
D-Den. My money's on D-Den.
I actually
got
put
the
mine on
experience.
Jaffa. He always plays so good in tournaments.
Yeah,
He
it's
might come
true.
with a surprising
Yeah, but is
twist in the
Jaffa
end.
sober though? That's the question.
Yeah, he's sober, but Fuad is also pretty good, I think.
Yeah,
Ripper, can you read Papa Schlau's question, Airborne, and answer it?
Fuat walks along the edge of the fire all the time and names the people who come out of the fire. He activated the fire glitch. Is that allowed, Ripper? That's not normal, is it? I think he's asking you a question.
Yeah, but as answer for me as my assistant.
I don't know.
I
Are we
can
gonna
say
allow?
one
How can we
thing.
control? How can we control fire glitch?
Yeah, just
How can we
answer
do
for
that?
me. You guys know it's not allowed. If you do it, then fucking do it. Then you're fucking assholes. What do you expect from me?
Yeah, but why is he complaining about a lot of the time about being close to the fire circle when he does it a lot?
Ooh, shots
I
fired.
heard.
Ah, guys, I cannot do anything about people doing fire glitch. If you do it, or if you go in the lobby, just close the door so nobody can get the fire glitch. That's all we can do. Alan Sika. So Alan Sika and Mickey the Ficky are teamers? I thought Mickey the Ficky is not a teamer, but is he a teamer now or what? Is he a teamer?
He's glitching pretty hard.
Yeah, he's very glitchy. Ooh, who is that? Oh,
my
no,
God,
Dylan!
Oh my God, D-Den is hanging out
Oh, how did Oh,
Jeez,
Dylan!
Dylan.
No.
Yeah,
Jaffa
see,
killing
Jaffa's
teamers.
Jaffa killed one teamer, he needs to kill another one. And Luca Machine, unlucky, 2 kills. So Jaffa needs to kill in the next minute another teamer or he doesn't get the extra points.
Usually the fuck you teamers have at least 3, so there's gotta be another one running around.
I think the one guy, he died in the beginning.
Yeah.
Dan MD died.
Guys, now we have to watch who is gonna be first, second, and third, huh? Very important. Snoopy's here, I knew that! Fucking Snoopy's here. So Yaban is dead.
Alright, we're getting down to the...
Snoopy
Jaffa
is
killed
dead.
Snoopy.
So yeah, now we need the top 3 places. It looks like
Yeah.
Jaffa is gonna be top 3.
Did Fuad die?
Fuad is, I think, still alive. So it's Fuad
Yeah,
against
then-
Jaffa and this guy.
Yeah. This guy has now a heavy. That complicates things.
GG's. I agree with you, Papa. 1 kill for... Oh, yeah, he's gonna third party them. Oh, look how is he coming. Okay, Fuad is dead. With 4 kills and third position, I think, no?
Yeah, third position.
And Jaffa is gonna be second or third, that's the question. Can Jaffa make it? I think Jaffa is gonna go down. I don't trust him, he can play only in the bush.
Well, you did trust him a lot for the league, though.
Yeah, there he is.
Lunch, he's not in it.
No, he's a teamer. Oi, 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 come on, Jaffa! No! Alright.
GG's Jaffa, second place.
GG's
Fuad,
Jaffa,
third
you're
place.
shit. Guys, relax. Relax. Okay, I'm gonna read the kills fast. If you hear that there is a mistake, tell me. Yeah? We don't care. He was alone, he won. Alright. Nero, 1 kill. Norkin, 0. Aryan, 1 kill. Hercules, 2. Bomass, 0. Papa, 0. Frantimi, 0. Mickey Angelo, 0. Double Alpha, 0. Jumpus, 2. Jaffa, 3 and second. Bash, 0. Luca Machine, 2. Red Def Red, 0. Krogaren, 0. Lucid, 0. Diden, 3. Robin Hood, 0. MG, 0. Fuad, 4 and third. Supernatural, 0. Edgar, 0. Bobo, 0. Tomba, 2. Sami, 0. Samo, 0. Fizban, 2. Idibloy 0, this Yabanito 3, Snoopy 1, Darpin and Killjoy 0. You had 5 kills?
Says he has 5 kills.
Okay.
You can check the score.
Yeah, please check, he's a liar. Alright.
Oh, it said I had 0 kills.
Guys, if you heard it and I said it correct, you don't have to repeat it, it's all good. Alright, if I get 10 readies in the chat, we start the next round. Ask one more time and I give you 0 kills, Crypto. I swear to God.
Let's check the games.
God damn it. Alright. 10 readies and we go in the next round, guys. If you want to put any bounties, you know how it works. Unforgiven, do you want to sign up for the tournament? If yes, tell me now. Why is my camera shaking?
Ooh, set aside in with another 1,000 bits.
Really, real life friend.
You're nervous, you're shook.
Bullshit, man.
You're in a...
Why is he not shooting, man? Carlitos also sign in for the tournament. Why the fuck he doesn't shoot that fucking pass? The Unforgiven is in. Carlitos is also in. Samo is playing. Everybody's playing. All right. Thank you, Sinasai. We're gonna take the shot. Oh my God! You almost got it. Oh my God! Go! Search! Can you check Carlitos, KD, and Unforgiven? Sub me.
Yeah.
All right. GG's Nero. GG's inside.
I cannot find Jaffa in the game.
I mean in the game.
Previous
Yeah,
game.
because you need to
Yeah.
wait like 10 minutes.
No, but I see everyone else.
All right, gentlemen. We didn't have so many teamers yet, so it's all right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Crypto Groovy.
Now I need to have Unforgiven and Carlitos Way.
What was his name? The Unforgiven.
Yes. Unforgiven 0. Maybe you can just tell us, guys, so we know. Search, guys. Search.
Oh, you need Carlitos Way.
Yeah. Don't insult each other, guys. It's just a game. Be nice. Be friendly. Okay, 1.71. Thank you. Yes, Carlitos.
I'm in.
Jeez.
Gibbons in.
I'm in.
All right. 3.22.
3.2.
All right, guys. Next round. I wish you bon chance. As I said, this is the regular tournament. We're gonna have 3 more rounds, and after we gonna have the special hunt. Cinecide, do you want to put a bounty on anybody? Okay, Bashed is not coming. $33, 2 minutes to search. It's okay.
He put he put on Sami.
I know.
Bounty on Sami.
Who put on Sami?
The one who put
Oh, Cinecide, my friend, he put it on Nero because he knows it. So he put double bounty on Nero, guys. If you kill Nero, you get 6 extra points. If you get top 2 position, you get 6 extra points, Nero.
Nero just joined the game, so
Nero,
go,
who
I
kills
guess.
Nero gets 6 extra points.
he has to activate Papa mode.
Nero, you have to get in the top 2. If you make it in the top 2, you get 6 extra points for yourself. So activate your whatever mode, man. I wish you good luck. We have 43 players. I don't see anybody's crying that he didn't get in. That's good. So I think the most people are in.
It's another
He's gonna
American
meet up with
NA
Nero
East
at the
lobby.
dam.
It's an American lobby again.
in.
Good.
Yes.
Very
NA
nice.
East.
Rantini just got in the game.
We have almost full. Just to remind you, Nero, if you kill yourself, you disconnect, you run away, you burn, also minus points. There is no way out.
You have to survive.
If the new players have any question, like Unforgiven
Diablo joined the
or
game.
Carlitos, ask.
Diablo has finally joined the game.
Alright, boys and girls. I don't know where is Lucy. I think Lucy doesn't gonna show up.
Maybe he's drunk already. Who knows?
I'm gonna wait with the deleting the names. Edgar Forever is not gonna come. Is that for
See,
sure?
now, no more crying. Everyone is blocking the fire glitch.
Edgar Forever? He's not gonna come. Is that correct? Okay, Ediblo is writing me. It's showtime. Okay. Alright, Ediblo, it's showtime. Bitch ass.
Diablo,
Write it in the chat. Why are you writing that shit to me, man? That's alright. It's showtime.
Diablo, you should sing "I Want It That Way" by Backstreet Boys. You always play better than.
Unlucky, Sami, with your shitty internet.
Let's go. Maybe we should drop a dam. I don't know.
We should not drop the where teamers drop. So
Drop in the river docks.
Yeah, let's just drop in the middle of the ocean.
let's.
We can also go behind Arctic Lake and be out of bounds.
I'm gonna make a Warzone tournament, you know, as soon as the fucking private lobbies are gonna be possible.
Where?
We're going to Minerva, I guess.
I'm checking how many people are. Guys, we go in the dome.
Okay.
And die in the water there inside, okay?
Oh.
You know how?
Yeah.
Reminder, guys, we have a double bounty on Mr. Nero United. 6 extra points.
Yeah, I have a teamer here. Or someone with team. No, it's you,
Well, it's all of us. But there's
Yeah.
another person here, though.
I just saw a teamer.
Yeah,
out
they're
here,
right
I
in
thought-
wars. But it was fun. It was not bad. I like it. It's good. Who is that
Go
guy
back
who's going in the
together.
war? Is that you? Oh no, it's not.
Me.
Just die immediately, guys. So we watch the same guy. Staffos with the first kill. I don't know. He's not in the tournament. Didn't sign up. Well, he can play.
But the shotgun kill, that's not bad.
Snoopy is dead. He got killed by Hernandez. Fuck.
I'm dead.
I don't know who I'm gonna watch.
I'm excited to see. It looks like Pro Guardian.
Looks like Crow Guardian. Nice. Let's go.
Yeah.
You guys all watching Crow Guardian?
Carlitos with his first kill.
Carlit.
One killing Diablo.
Bizbin went after an E-boy at the
So Diablo is dead
tank
already?
bunker.
Yeah, he's dead.
Fisman with 1 kill.
Headshot with the Suomi. That's very strong.
Fisman?
Yeah.
Bro, it's not him. Oh my god,
One
Bombass, really?
Dead by pack.
Oh my god.
Guardian got
Jigsaw's a
lucky
pretty
there.
good player, though. I'm surprised he's back.
Jigsaw is back. I'm wondering if we should go Apex after, man. I see there's softness in Bombass David's fingers. Or maybe we should play Madden.
Maximus
Cheap gas
dead.
is here.
But that's a weird cheap gas. That's not that cheap gas. You killed Maximus?
Picked up a pink Suomi.
Yeah.
GG. He has his gewehr, so I guess, you know.
So who killed one? Who? Maximus died? And who killed him?
Cheap gas.
Grass.
Okay, but it's not cheap gas, I'm pretty sure.
Nero killed Mickey the Picky.
Nero killed Mickey the Fakey.
Isn't he a teamer?
Apparently he is.
Yeah, if Nero kills one more teamer now,
Oh my god.
then that
Aryan with the
Gotta
kill.
go.
No problem, shit happens.
he has a supply drop he's not deploying yet.
Yeah, there was also other enemies, so I think he... I think that pink Soam is pretty shit though anyway. I don't like it.
No, the pink Suomi is so OP.
If you hit your bullets but against the heavy...
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, somebody's on
it's
B.
possible. It's possible for sure if you hit them headshot enough.
Aryan killed double alpha! Let's go!
Double Alpha is... His KD is bleeding hard today.
Double alpha, how do you feel after this second round? Do you wanna talk to us? You wanna talk to us?
Norman is saying easy with the emotional damage.
Don't know these guys, but is there a pack on? No. Maybe get the loadout, get the shit. Oh, he's running on the right. He's
Yeah.
running away. You don't see him, Crow, on the right side. He run away, Crow. God damn it. He run right.
He's getting shot from that guy.
Unforgiven
He's dead.
with the first kill of the tournament. Killed the best guy, Miki Angelova.
He has a guy behind and he's just standing on the fucking roof like, shoot me,
Because
shoot
there
me.
is,
Please
I
shoot
think
me.
there is 2 guys. That's why he's standing there.
No, behind him is a sniper.
On the right side, that was the guy who was running away.
Yeah.
Oh, there's someone trying to shoot him from behind. He just shot.
I think he should decide which one he's gonna push.
Guess he just hit him.
He got headshot.
Take the fucking drop. Maybe you got a heavy. ATV is here with you.
If if I was Pro Guardian, I would go like a little bit to myself, deploy the supply drop, and then just take a heavy and leave.
Yeah, he does it. Good.
Now
He
he
listened to you. Look. He heard your voice.
Good.
Instantly listened.
That's good. Makes me happy.
Very happy. Very excited.
Very, very happy, yay!
Let's see if he's gonna engage or not. I mean, he has the medium, he has good guns. There is no problemo. I don't see any problems.
We got the V1.
We won also.
That's gonna be helpful. But why did they put the pump pistol over the pump set house?
Ask. Stop me.
I don't know that song. Unfortunately, Hanorman.
Nero's down.
Desire.
Danny boy.
Who's
I
down?
don't
What?
know this song.
Nero just died.
To who?
Nobody.
Norkins
That
killed
wasn't
Steffos.
somebody.
Huh? Who did you die? A tournament player or not?
No. It wasn't a tournament player that killed Nero. It was
El Crypto
Somebody else,
is
okay.
dead. The Unforgiven.
Lucky for Nero, so he doesn't lose any points. Unforgiven with the kill.
Yeah,
Crypto is out. Who was the other guy who killed somebody?
it was Norkins.
Norkins, thank you guys. Thank you also for counting a little bit here.
You consider yourself the carrier of the stream.
No, I'm not, but I'm a bit delayed. I'm drinking a shot here. Then Idiblo is writing me that he has a nice tank and stuff like this.
Oh my god, General Killer.
Jigsaw, Toxic Shock, General Killer down. Thank you, Coxie. Somebody's watching, thank you. Norkin killed Steffos, but he's not in the tournament. So Nero died to a non-tournament player. Is that correct, though?
Yeah.
Okay, so he doesn't lose the
No,
bounty.
he made a kill.
So
The
a
other
teamer
guy.
killed the ham guy that won last round.
Good.
Then MD. Teamer, of course. But guys, we have enough strong players to show the teamers who we are. Come on. We have many Fortnite players here. Many farming simulator players here. We have... I don't know, do we have mouse and keyboard
Well,
warriors?
Maximus has to do his taxes, so I guess.
So teamers are below Arctic Town. Somewhere here then, on the city here. Oh my god! Jumpus with the kill on Will Stick! With a C4 kill! Jumpus! Oh, this is not Jumpus playing, this is his son. His son or his wife playing for him. Jumpus is
Do
shit.
you not have any faith in him?
I have faith in him. But if he's gonna kill somebody strong now, I'm gonna talk to him. Peter Parker? Who the fuck? Peter Parker? Isn't that the Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Really Unforgiven? You died to Spider-Man? Come on, man. Spidey killed you? Ooh, look at Machine Slave Facebend of the... Facebend down. Where is Facebend?
Why don't you put the V1?
Wow, it's too early.
I mean.
Oh
yeah,
my
but-
god, Peter Parker, Unforgiven, you wanna talk about this? Nano
Peter
killed
is
Peter,
dead.
no!
Getting killed from the side as well, I think teamer as well.
I don't know. But GG's face
They're
been
too
one
far
strong
away
kill.
to be teamers.
And we wanna talk to Unforgiven. We wanna ask him who the fuck is Peter Parker, man. I never... This is like weird names. I never saw them playing Firestorm. Now you see weird names playing, man. Hope there are no fucking team. Oh my god, Crow lost it. Oh my god!
What a freaking headshot that was! Oh my god.
Oh
Pizza.
no! This guy in the back just shot him in the head.
Quinton.
Yeah.
Quinton killed him. Who is Quinton?
Hercules Hokies. With a kill.
Jeez, he has his favorite gun now. Now it's just not.
Spider-Man son. Spider-Man son.
There's a V1 going on here. Question is where?
I
Not
don't know.
here.
On the right side,
Yeah,
on the top,
right.
that's V1 from Crow Guardian.
He's lost. Move into this round. I'm enjoying the sniper skills of this guy. Those are really
Quentin?
good headshots. Yeah.
Okay, he has a big car. He has to shoot something. Well, let's see if we
Yo.
can get some nice shots now. Okay, that's a miss. Miss.
I don't think that it was a miss even.
Yeah, the first one he hit him, that's why I got him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Bro, Peter Parker is playing like a noob. But what happened then? How did Unforgiven lost that shit after he killed 2 people? Did he come for third party or he put his... What is the name?
It's right there, he doesn't see it.
Ooh, now we gotta see if there is good shots. No. Sorry,
Can
Sapni,
it
but
be
I disagree.
Schroeden?
Oh, ooh, that's Michelangelo and Fratini. Fratini down, Michelangelo with another kill. Come on, pizza or pazza or whatever, man.
Can this
Teamers are there. Where? Bum-ass, it's not over. Next round is gonna be your round. I swear to God. I swear
I
to
see
Allah.
one guy down in the field.
Where are they, Aaron? Pizza, pazza, or pizza? Where is this guy from? Somebody knows more about him?
Nope.
No, he has 68 wins though.
Pizza guys are usually...
I know them. I also in squads. I was wondering if somebody knows like more infos about their. Oh, look how much
Papa is
clean!
down.
Slate the Great, Papa Sludge. Unlucky. Still at the town. No problem. Let the teamers be. It's more about you guys getting kills. It doesn't matter. Are you sure that he's Italian?
As you refer to them, no, it looks like he's with that name Quinton. He could definitely be American as well.
I agree also with that. He's not lagging in this American server. Okay.
Not like the
Coxie saw
other
his
guy
YouTube
was
switch,
watching.
so... Is it talking like a pasta? It's time! It's the time! It's time!
You can tell.
Or is he... Latte! Norman, I warn you. Warning. I warn you. Thomas Davis, land in another spot then. Land in a spot where you don't have the pressure in such a full lobby.
Is that Hercules?
Could be.
No, I don't think
Oh, it's not Hercules.
He has the
he's
red
got a
hat
cape.
on.
Oh, that was a mistake
Yeah,
here from
he has the
Quentin.
red hat on.
Play it in while you're pushing. No, you don't want pressure. Believe me. Trust me. Oh, he's not talking
Oh
to
my
you,
God,
Coxie. It's not
Miki
about you.
Killed one guy and then Carlitos killed Mickey.
Miki Angelova. So wait, sorry. Carlitos has a kill and Miki Angelova, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mickey made a kill on a random and then Carlitos came in third party.
Of course, Carlitos a third party. No, freedom of speech, Norman. Don't hate against our papa. If you hate, you play. If you play, you can hate. If you don't play, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's two different things. Of course, freedom to speech.
I
but
told
then
Carlitos, stop laughing,
No hate.
shut the fuck up, or you play. Now he plays. Okay, GG's.
I'm gonna.
And you stop me, shut the fuck up and play.
No.
Okay, somebody please kill this Quentin guy. Oh, look at
Okay, there we
machine!
go.
Destroy Peter Parker! Oh, Luca Machine
Luca
has...
Machine is playing so good today.
He has good rounds, man.
Yeah.
No, not bad. Luca Machine is one of the title contenders, maybe. Fuad. This Jabanito is in this round. I didn't see...
It's only 14 people left, so I guess.
Oh, the Zen is Luca? What do you mean Zen? Zen, like he has Kronos Zen, Luca? No, bro. Wait until I post my next video tomorrow, then you talk again about Zen. Oh. Yeah. Oh, he missed that shot, really? Oh my god.
I think he hit the first one, but then he missed on the second one. It's always easy to hit the first bullet, but then the second one.
That counts, yeah.
hard.
Ooh, Jaffa Slate.
Ooh.
Jaffa Slate, Luca Machine.
Yeah, but then Jajami,
Yeah,
Uma.
Pizza Quentin.
This guy is a no teamer.
Ah, Coxie, we don't care about the teamer. We don't need to
Not
watch the
picking
teamers.
up-
It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
good.
Let
I
the
thought
people.
for a second there he was gonna choose
This guy's
the
also a
green
teamer,
card.
so fuck him. Let's see how he does on. But he's a good guy. He plays. He's a good player. That's why I never understand why he's teaming.
Dang.
Maybe just.
Should participate instead of teaming.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not taking any teamers in the tournament. They can suck a big cock. Oh, Jabanito is dead with 0 kills.
None of that.
I swear to God, if I fight Dark Pain tonight, I'm gonna cut his balls, man. Yes, we have you, Aryan, with 2 kills. Norkids, Nero is dead, you said, guys, yeah? General Commander is not here.
Gas loses to the teamers.
Well, he killed one. GG's to the fake cheap gas.
Who is cheap gas?
Yes, it's a fake.
No, but the other one.
You don't know that.
Devious is the other one.
It's not devious.
The cheap red.
I know, but he goes by cheap.
Killjoy? Killjoy is not in the game, no? Killjoy yet? Or is he? I don't think so.
No, I haven't seen him.
Red Dead Fred is also not here. Lucy also not. So the only alive Tomba is still alive, should be. Samo?
Yeah,
Jaffa
but
killed Carlitos
Killjoy
away.
came into the
Ooh.
stream and he said he would be late.
I know, but
So we knew that.
Carlitos is dead. Who killed Carlitos? I just missed it again.
Jaffa.
Oh my
Alpha
God,
with
that's
2 kills.
I'm sure. of
Fuck,
it.
the alcohol is kicking in, man. I'm getting a bit irritated. Jaffa teabag everyone. Okay. That's minus points for Jaffa for teabagging.
But I have a genuine question for
Yes.
everyone. So when people snipe with a pink car or the pink set age, something with the 3x scope, a sniper rifle with the 3x scope, people have a tendency to hold the aim for so long and then they flash you in the face. Instead of just aiming in on him and then aim and put on the scope and then shoot him, you know?
I know, but that's
They
just...
do it for like 30 seconds. It's like he's giving away his
They want to
position
see the
instantly.
fear in the eyes of the enemy.
You should just quick scope to look around, you know, instead of just standing there.
Jaffa? Is that Jaffa? Oh, it's Samo!
Samo.
Oh, Samo the kid! With 0 kills! Really? By Jamajo? Jomo? Bro, just ice
Jajami
cone.
Mata. Ooh, he's dead
Ooh,
now.
he's
dead
hurt.
now.
He's running
One
like a
shot.
little bitch.
He's one shot.
He's running like a little bitch. He's scared as fuck. He doesn't have plates anymore. He's scared as a little pussy. Is he going down? I put the RT.
Holding it so long.
He gonna stay in the RT. Fucking cunt teamer.
He held it for so
I'm not gonna be toxic yet. I'm not too drunk yet, so easy. Is he gonna... Okay, we have still Jaffa in the game. Norkins is still in the game, I think. Hercules is still in the game. Kyompus is still in the game. Tomba, I think he's still in the game.
That was a really good play that he did there.
From who?
Yeah, putting out the artillery to push the guy who was attacking him away.
There's somebody
and then
camping, I
break
hear.
down.
Hercules killed Norkins.
Hercules.
GG's hurt.
So Norkins with
Yes,
1
I think
kill,
that's
Hercules with
exactly.
2.
I think you have a pink brand.
Is there Kyompus somewhere camping? I swear, guys, I hear somebody camping here.
Yeah.
is somebody behind him. There is
Right
somebody behind him.
Oh shit.
Yo, I knew it. I knew his jump was there behind him. Bro, I knew it. It's just the fucking difference with Firestorm and Call of Duty. You just hear the fucking shit. So Hercules, Jamaji, Jaffa, and we don't know who the fourth guy is. Should be Tomba, but probably is Tomba not in the game. I don't know. Pressure feeds, I didn't saw also. Is he dead?
He's easy. Two on top and two on the bottom.
Ah, Hercules gonna manage that. Oh, Hercules just slayed Nanovelt.
Now they are down to the top 3, and Hercules definitely made it. But who is the last guy?
Hercules, Jaffa, and Jamaji.
Ah, it's Jaffa. Nice. But he don't have any plates. It's Jamaji. Jajami. He's just jumping a lot, which creates a lot of noise. I never got that.
Instantly ban the teamer.
Please don't fuck now.
Oh. Oh my
GG to
god!
her.
He raped his family here! And Jaffa coming for the third party.
Oh no.
Let's see how this is gonna go. Oh my god. Jaffa has no...
Oh, Jaffa is not stupid, he knows it's Hercules. He's on the left there. Oh, I slayed him!
Hercules have always told everyone he
Nice.
always makes second place every
Jaffa
tournament. Now we
second.
hope he's winning. GG's Hercules.
Nice! Mr. Hercules Hokis, GG's.
We're waiting for the Instagram story now.
Yeah, Jaffa
And
didn't
the
have
American
heals.
flag. He put 60 American flags.
Jeez, Hercules.
Yeah, you can suck a dick. But there is an excuse trophy for Jaffa didn't have plague. Who cares? Not our problem. So, let us count the points for 5 minutes fast.
I'm on Instagram right now waiting for Hercules.
General Commando, Nero, 1 kill. Norkins, 1 kill. Arien, 2 kills. Hercules, 5 and the win. Bama 0, Papa 0, Fratimi 0, Mickey Angelo 3, Double 0, Jumpus 1, Jaffa 2 and second. Luca Machine 3, if I'm correct. Red Death Fred not here, 0, Crow Garden 0, Lucy 0, Didn't 0, Robin Hood 0, MG 0, Fuad 0, Supernatural Fun 0, Edgar 0, Wawa 0, Tomba 0, I think. Sami 0, Samo 0, Fizben 1, Idibloy 0, Yabanito 0, Snoopy 0, Darkman 0, and Killjoy 0. Everything correct, I think? Yes?
I think you covered it, yes.
Is everybody agree with me? We can go in the next round if we get 10 readies. Ready, guys? Don't be toxic, guys.
100 bits from
GG's
Fizban.
Fizban. Don't be toxic to each other.
I'm a top 50 player in solos on
Yeah, we got
Firestorm. Don't
10
ever
people.
disgrace me like that.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go, 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 go.
I think we're gonna find the game after 10 seconds.
Yeah, we're gonna maybe find that. Doesn't matter. Guys, behave each other.
I'm gonna go up to 25 seconds the game.
In the next 600 bits, Submi's gonna take another shot. So she's gonna be a little bit drunk.
No!
Guys, behave, both of you, Hercules, Norman, Double, Ralpha, whatever. Behave,
Sit on the
gentlemen,
game.
or time out everyone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Supernatural Fun joined.
finally he's in.
We cannot get in a fight
instant.
God, Hercules.
Go down like There's a bounty from Hercules, I think.
Shit, I'm a top 50 player in solos on Firestorm. Don't ever disgrace me like that.
One on the base and sub me take a shot. Who is the bounty on Hercules?
Good
42,
Sammy,
well,
killer
42
shit.
players, man. You can also watch the YouTube stream, but you don't need to be on
Okay, I got
double
next.
Ralpha. Bounty on double Ralpha this round.
Hercules is in. Got notification. We have an EU server. Airborne, you in?
Everyone is drunk. Okay, one bounty on double Alpha. Double Alpha.
Airborne, you in?
Airborne is fighting with his children. Let him do his fight.
Yeah.
If he's in, he's in. If not, he's not in.
Yeah, then I'll share.
I see a lot of people are already in this game. Ooh.
Ёбаный
Enjoy
очкошник,
is
сука,
in.
блядь. Рикард.
Hercules with the
Airborne
sub
join.
for Maximus. GG's in the chat. Bamass is also in 46. We're gonna have also a packed lobby again.
Yeah, I'm just happy that finally.
100 bits and sub me take another shot. You already hear in her voice she's getting a bit more tips here. And we still have a half tournament to go, more than. No trophy for you. Maybe the cocksucking trophy.
No, he
Did
can
you say
get
100
the...
bits and she'll take a shot?
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
because there is
No!
some 490%.
No!
If you put 1,100,
No!
perfect.
They were trying to shoot me. They're telling people, get the fuck out of there!
Oh no, no!
Hi, Airborne.
Come on, Sappy, take a shot. I also take a shot. I help you.
100
Yeah.
100 bits. that's
1,
easy.
2, 3.
Oh.
I got
cheers.
someone on me on the helicopter.
Here's me drunk. This is me drunk.
Oh, I killed him! Fuck you!
Look at those
Fuck
Americans
you,
on it.
motherfucker! I got you.
Genocide,
Fuck that son of a
100
bitch,
more,
Airborne.
1
Fuck him up.
shots.
GG's, Sappy, come on, let's go.
See ya!
Yeah, I'm pouring. Fitta.
Alright, guys, if you didn't have 2 good rounds, doesn't matter. Now, get your shit together.
Every round counts from now on.
Unlucky Crypto Lino. But we have 50 players in the game.
Well, Norman, if you want a trophy, I'll give you active in the stream trophy. He is first after all.
Alright, bon chance everybody. Sub me, Airborne, you in?
Go. Yup.
So this is the relaxing part of the tournament. We're gonna get to the hardcore part after.
And you chose to do
let's go
the
down.
easy part first while we're drinking.
I mean, it's easier for us to count after, to be fair. We don't have to check all the
Can
stats.
we just go somewhere random and then just...
What do you mean?
Okay, where are we going?
No problem, Crypto. Have a good night. See you later.
Scheiße. See, there is 3 people there. 2, 4 people, 5 people.
Where?
Sheesh, 6 people. On them.
That's cool.
Oh my god, so many people everywhere.
As you with me on the dam or not?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm just like a little bit above you because I didn't know we were jumping down.
Oh, he
Trying
killed me.
to kill us.
Oh, fuck. Sami, his kill doesn't count. No, we don't give him the kill. Oh, somebody put the V1. You guys also watching Sami or not?
I have a guy in the water here with me. Is it
Yes.
you, Airborne?
Oh my god,
Hello.
Sami is already so drunk, man.
You won.
She is so drunk already, guys.
Stop abusing me in the water.
Oh my
Seth.
god.
I'm trying to swim with you.
Xenocide. You can make a bounty later.
Yeah, I got Sammy as well.
My stream is not delayed, it's for everybody the same. Maybe your
Friday,
iPhone is delayed.
Fistbun is
Fistbun
dead.
is already out. Bro, everybody get in, all the Americans,
Oh my God,
Crypto.
Franzini made the kill
Finally he's in the tournament.
with the video. Oh my God, the second save for Sammy.
What is he doing?
Yes, the second.
I'm very sorry for you, Crypto, but there is no delay. Maybe sometimes you have to update your phone or laptop or whatever you're playing with.
Oh my God, there's people here.
The teamers on him?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Just one
Maybe
guy.
so. Yeah.
How does he look like?
Oh shit! Oh my
Oh
God!
my God!
I saw that. Like,
Oh, that's a clip, man!
Look, that's the
Nice, Stefos.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Kill of the week. That was so good. I could just see the sticky dynamite just hitting
Oh,
Sami's head and then boom, dead.
Sami, I think you should stick to COD, man. Alright, that was really nice, GG's.
That should be an honor to be killed like that.
Mamas, really, man? Bro, I think Mamas, god damn it, man. Man.
On the bright side, yeah.
Yeah, we saw that, Mamas. Yeah, look on the bright side. Somebody is totally drunk already. Yeah, ping 170. What about the two rounds before? Mamas, what about the 2 rounds before? The only thing is that I'm a little bit scared of watching Stefos is he's playing very defensively actually. Maybe tonight he's not gonna play like that. We'll see. Sami is gonna be a video coming.
I'm excited.
I uninstall, but bro, you uninstall Madden. Oh, Crow Guardian slayed Norkins.
GG.
Norkins.
Oh my God,
Oh.
Samu killed Grogardian.
Norkins and Samo.
Oh,
That's
Norkins and Samo.
Interesting. Scat boys.
Hashtag teamer.
Hashtag question mark.
Hashtag very sus.
Hashtag wow.
Hashtag wawa.
Wow. Hashtag wawa wiwa, man. Bro, I'm gonna make a video from every perspective, Sami. Like in slow motion.
At least he took it good though.
Yeah, Sami is a good loser. He never
Yeah,
screamed.
he said he fucked me up. That was funny.
Tell more. Okay, I really wonder. Luca Machine. Luca Machine has a good games here in the tournament. Double.
Yeah.
And he collected the bounty, guys. Don't forget. There was a bounty on double Lolfa. What is he? So Luca Machine got the kill and collected the bounty.
I thought that was a pink coming.
Oh no.
Looks like it has a magazine. Might be
He
wrong.
can't record it, maybe.
You only have 16 bullets of SMG.
Arya didn't! Oh no, again now, but he had one good round, so everything is still. Oh, Maximus up. Maximus is just soft. Fresh, soft, Unforgiven. Carlitos. Where is Carlitos? Yeah, don't be a good loser.
Yeah,
Sami, don't start with the excuses now. Just take it.
he is in the tournament.
Oh, this is wow, 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 wow. We were waiting for him. Wow, 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 with the first kill. Wow, wow, wow. GG's. There he is.
Crystal, he is in the tournament, he's just died early.
Oh, he's in the tournament, he is.
No, he asked to couple slots.
Okay, now let's see if he's gonna really fire or he's gonna run. Let's see if Stefos has the balls.
Yeah, Sami, from our perspective, the sticky dynamite came flying over your head, landed behind you, and you flew into the air. Oh my god, that's Hercules.
It sounds like Hercules. No, it's not Hercules. It's not. Crow Guardian is dead, so it's not Crow Guardian. It could be Luca Machine.
I don't think so.
Peter Parker, man. It was Mickey Frantimi. Frantimi killed Mickey. So Frantimi is close here. It's gonna be Frantimi against Mickey Duffy. Look, I saw him already in the door there.
Yeah. He's doing a mean lead, but it didn't work. He's not leaning.
He's going to the push. Frantimi. Spider-Man is really strong tonight. Frantimi against... Oh my god, Frantimi is lasering him, bro! There he is, my Franta, man. That is my Franta.
Oh my god, what weapons he have.
Frantimi has one of the highest KD in the tournament, guys. So we are actually one of the strongest players, but he doesn't play much solos.
Yeah.
But he is also a drinker like me and sub me. Airborne is pushing out a little bit.
Wow. I saw Mutasim with the kill. That's nice.
See you later, Crypto. Have a good night, man. Thanks for the play.
GG's for the tournament.
GG's. Samo killed Mickey Angelova.
And Carlitos.
Mickey Angelova is dead.
Killed Aryan.
Yeah.
Samo killed also somebody, no?
42.
Yeah.
Carlitos killed somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. Unforgiven is still in here. Red Dead Fred, I don't know if he's even playing. I think Killjoy is also in this round now, no?
Yeah, I think he was in this game.
He's not. He's not.
He's in another game. Because I saw he was in the game.
I don't know, maybe he got disconnected or dead or...
Oh yeah, he's out.
Are you okay, Airborne, or...?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Sounded like you're dying. Jaffa killed Eddie Bloy. Oh my god. Eddie Bloy very soft this tournament. But Jaffa is the title contender at the moment. Jaffa, Luca Machine, Hercules Hokies, Fuad, D-Dan. Looking good for them, but we don't know. The Hunt is gonna decide anyway everything. The Hunt can change everything, I think, guys.
I see Edie Boy is still alive, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he just died. Luca Machine with another kill. Looking good for Luca here. Sorry, Crystal, but next round you have a lot of people to kill.
Benitez killed Carlitos.
Carlitos died to Benitez. How? Wow. Killed Supernatural Fun, man. This guy is... Nah. He's not a new player.
No.
Even with his one weird KD.
Novel killed Chief Gas.
So, who died to... Supernatural Fun died, no?
Yeah.
0 kills for
Luca
Supernatural.
Machine killed the Unforgiven.
Ooh.
Luca Machine is having such a good tournament.
Yeah, it's looking good for him. Unforgiven is out with 0 kills, I think.
Samo made a kill.
Samo is
Killed
okay.
Mutasim, and
Samo is
Mutasim
getting...
really strong.
But don't worry, guys. The last 3 rounds are gonna be very important of the tournament. I'm not talking that he's not playing clean. I'm talking about that he played this game more often. Ratimi, stop
Thank you
this
for
shit.
the teabag. Much appreciated. question is someone gonna go take Alpha really quick before closing? But I don't think tournament people are gonna take it. Too risky being exposed.
Very quiet. 19 people left.
Nobody's really pushing anything.
Well, I think the most people are in this little Bogdan's landing spot, you know. This little military camp there.
Come on, Franto, someone with another kill?
You're the best around. Nothing's ever gonna keep you down. Brother, thank you for the fucking follow.
Thank you for the follow, Chanty. Welcome in the stream, Mushi. Franto, come on, man. What is this, man? I thought Scop is strong, man. Man. What the fuck is this? What is he doing? He passed out or what?
The tournament ripper. The
Ah,
camp.
yeah. But come on, Franto, he has the highest KD. I want to see him pushing everybody, man. Fuck.
He probably got it to his head now that he's the strongest, so now he wanna make sure he wins.
Oh, we only shot with the next 1000 bits. We have to still count 4 more rounds after this, so we need to be a
Well,
little
we have
bit
to move
okay.
soon anyway. He has 1 minute 23 seconds.
Come on, Franto, man. Give us a fucking show.
What were we worried about?
I'm a baby cow.
GG's Grizzly Bear. The 16 months.
He's right up.
Jaffa killed Samu.
Yeah, he's there.
Jaffa. Samu is dead.
Must be one shot.
Who was the last kill? I didn't see that.
Spider-Man, I didn't see who he killed.
Guys, somebody saw it? I missed it.
No, it was a random, I think.
Antimi. GG's in the chat for Grizzly Bear, Alta. Alta. Boom, Alta. He's behind the house somewhere in the fire. But Frantimi should not be scared. He has a pink Tommy. He has a heavy armor.
Jaffa.
Oh my god. Oh
GG's to Jaffa.
my fucking god.
Jaffa has a pink
Wow.
card.
Frantimi. GG's 3 kills.
Question is he gonna pick up the Tommy? Is he gonna pick up
I
the
think
Gewehr?
he's not. He's gonna play with the pink stand.
No, he played with the Gewehr.
Yeah, he's gonna take the stand and the gewehr. I know my Jaffa. I don't like the pink Tommy either, so... You saw the pink Tommy against the pink stand. He destroyed him.
Well, it also depended on the positioning.
Of course, the problem is if
He
you
was
if you
little
miss
bit
too many
covered.
bullets. I think if you miss too many bullets with the stand, you're fucked. But
Yeah, but the trick
What?
with the Tommy gun is just to... You have to... Oh shit.
Oh,
Kill
Fuat
teamers.
with a double
2 extra
teamer
points.
kill.
oh, so he killed 2 people.
Yeah,
Plus, he
good
gets-
fuck you.
2 extra points. GG's.
First one to kill a pair of teamers.
GG's in the chat for Fuat. Give me
But
some
see, the
GG's
thing
for
with the Tommy
Fuat.
gun- Yeah. The
Yeah.
thing with Tommy gun is, if you hip fire it, then aim for a second, the aim assist will kick in as hard, like really hard.
Yeah.
Then you would hit them instantly in the head. That's why it's so powerful.
Gunnar.
It's just that people forget that. You
I
have to
know.
hip fire first.
I don't like this. Hercules died to Angela. 0 kills, I think, if I'm correct. Peter Parker.
Parker killing Ace 5th, who's that?
Nero, I still see Nero hold it the whole time in the fucking stag hound, somewhere far away. Nero,
Most definitely.
where is Snoopy? Where is Killjoy? Where is Darkbane? Darkbane is not in the game.
It's right behind you.
But who? Darkwing?
No, I mean, Jaffa was looking for this guy. He's behind him.
We delete Darkwing from the tournament?
Don't you guys hear him?
I was just focusing on... maybe you just want to get the win. Nero. He has 1 kill last round, 1 kill the first round. And that's him in the stag hound, I bet.
Yeah. The Staghound is not driving very careful.
Jaffa with 3 kills, and he's not scared at all.
He has 11 people watching. I mean...
Wow, with
Nero,
another
that
kill,
was
this
Nero.
guy.
That was Nero.
Ooh, Nero. No, don't. Just turn around and shoot him. Don't start to drive away.
My question is, why would Jaffa continue hunting him when
Because he knows it's Nero, because he sees the bots. He wanna destroy him. He go out, Nero is getting shot from another guy also.
Oh, he's getting...
Nero is gonna for the roll. Get out of this fucking shit ass staghound, man. Nero killed him.
Oh, we got him.
Jeez.
Oh my god, Nero is dead.
And Java is coming for the third party. Papa Schlauch and Nero is down. Papa Schlauch killed one.
Papa Schlauch finally made it to top 5.
And Papa Schlauch killed the guy.
Yeah, I know. Chumpas.
Papa Schlauch? Where is he?
Am I
Yes.
wrong, or did Chumpas and Papa Schlauch got teamed up in that teamer tournament you made? You know, the one where one plays...
Yeah, they work
first
together.
round? Yeah.
We don't know, but he's in the tournament. Wah.
Oh my god.
Robin Hood, why you sign up for the tournament and then you don't show up? God damn it, man. Oh, he's dead. There's another guy coming. There's gonna be a third party. Jaffa heard him. He's just on Jaffa. Put another plate in or you're gonna get fucked.
Oh my god, that was one shot. That was Papa Schlauch they were fighting.
So
Now it's the top 3.
Papa Schlauch, Jaffa got a kill or not? No,
The
Jaffa is
question
dead.
is, can Papa Schlauch win this game?
He can win this game.
Question. But is he focused enough?
He is
After
focused, he's gonna go for the
21
third party.
hours?
Wow, killed the
After
last
21
guy.
hours.
So Papa Schlauch against wow.
Oh my god.
Papa Schlauch against the guy with 1 KD.
He's pushing. Oh, he's camping actually.
Papa is gonna get a shit position here, I think.
This guy is definitely a good
Who
sniper.
died in the third position? Who was that?
Didn't see it.
Somebody saw who killed Papa. Who was the third guy who died?
Because Papa, he killed Jaffa.
Yeah, that I know, but who? Ira Gunner. Thank you, Fizbel. Thank you. No, it was Ira Gunner.
Yeah.
Oh, but the third guy who died was Ira Gunner.
Yeah.
That's important.
Iran gonna...
Papa Schlauch against this guy, Wawa Weewa with 1 KD.
At least Papa has played.
Papa is a bit nervous. Oh,
my
this guy is
God,
sniping
that
too
was a
good.
headshot. Yeah. Like I said, can it be Maxime?
No.
His name? Can it be?
The green car. Oh, and hit another headshot.
Might die now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Papa Schlauch is so dead. So dead. Oh, yeah.
What?
Okay,
Yeah,
GG
he's
to
level
Wabo Vivo with
13
his new
0
account.
kills.
5 kills and the win, and Papa Schlauch got Bro, if you invite me one more time, I swear to God, man. Fucking delete your ass, man. So, Papa Schlauch got second. With 2 kills. Edgar Forever is not playing the tournament.
It's not Digur.
Okay, I delete him, man.
Foxy, you
Invite one more time, I swear I delete you, man.
Day. Every time Coxie comes in and he's like...
What?
Coxie comes in and says, it's probably Digur.
Doesn't matter, if he wins or she wins the tournament and I have to send the money, I see who it is.
Yeah.
So... Then... You're gonna see that this is the last round, so... Nero with 1 kill, Norkins with 0 kill, Arjen with 2 kills, Hercules with 0, Bames with 0, Papa Schlauch with 2, and the second place Frattimi with 3 kills, Miki Angelova 0, Double Alpha 0, Chompus 0, Jaffa 3 kills, Luca Machine 3 kills and the bounty. Red Death Red 0, Crow Guardian 1, Lucy 0, Diden 0, Robin Hood 0, MG didn't play 0, Fuat 3 kills plus 2 teamers. Wawabu 5 kills and the winner. Tomba 0, Sami 1, Samo 4, Fizban 0, Idibloy 0, Yoko Banito 0, Snoopy 0, Killjoy 0. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Everybody correct?
I just want to say, Samu, there's one more round of normal.
Jaffa has 4
after
kills?
that,
Can
we'll
you check?
explain the rules.
I don't think.
4 kills, he said. I had 4.
Check Jaffa after, please. Carlitos 1 kill, Unforgiven 0, Fresh 0, Maximus 0, Crypto didn't play. Are you guys ready?
Yes, Samu, we just don't want to confuse people, so we're
Just
gonna
finish
wait.
the last round and I'm gonna explain, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Relax, supernatural fun. You came late to the tournament, so you shut your fucking mouth.
He said, let's go next round.
Yeah, let's go my ass. I just delete some players here. Alright, everybody ready?
We got some ready from Sami Killer.
Yeah, I just need some more readies. And then we can go.
Now they're popping in.
Alright, pop it in. 9, 8, 7, oh shit. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go, 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 go!
The big question, Samu, is why would you do that? Why would you say that?
MG didn't show up also for the tournament, so I'm gonna delete him also.
Gonna find the game in 10 seconds, probably.
So. Who else we have? Idibloy, very soft. Schla, Frattimi, Norkins, General Commando also didn't show up. A lot of Americans.
Herman, I do think that is a very inappropriate question to ask.
Ooh, what? Okay.
Share that secret, Samu, with us.
I come in 1 minute, guys. I just get some ice. You watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Can we get some bits in the stream? No one wanna put a bounty before the round starts? Now we found the game.
You just want another shot. Right.
No, I don't.
I think you do.
No, I
You're
don't.
asking. Sapme wants another shot, everybody. Let's get some bits going. Someone donate 500 bits. I match.
Tamo says, Scop is out. We are too old for this shit, okay?
All right.
No, Fizbit,
I
I'm not drunk,
appreciate
man.
the
It's only
irony.
2:30 in the afternoon. I have a thing tonight, so. I
Did you hear what happened?
What the fuck is that?
Tamo wrote, Scop is out. We are too old for this shit.
Bullshit, man.
That's why they're.
Shooting, man.
300 bits we got.
GG's Fizbit.
200 more bits.
700.
And we can put the bounty.
700 more and the submit's gonna drink. Is everybody in, guys?
There's 300 more.
Why is my camera shaking? What the
300
fuck
more.
is that?
Old man airborne.
This everybody got in, guys. That's bomb. Oh, okay, that's a shot.
Look at
Okay, Bombas, you put the
time for a
bounty.
shot.
Yeah, I think the most people are in. Some people. Bounty on yourself.
Bounty on...
About himself.
Okay, somebody's really.
He wants the points.
Good shit, good shit.
Boy, you come over here, son, to my
Shot is
lobby, you go
taken.
the fuck back yours.
Very ugly. Hercules is very ugly tonight, man. Alright, cheers, zombie, take a shot.
Yup. Where do we go?
I have to think about.
Can we just jump straight away and go straight to the ocean? Go to visitors?
Yeah.
We can drown ourselves between the barn and the houses.
Ooh. What is Fizbun? What? Fizbun, you're missing 200 bits, but you put it on Jaffa? Okay. Everybody's gonna give you the 200, I think. No?
What?
Bombass
Yeah,
and...
because you donated 300 bits in Fizbun.
Bombass and... Jaffa
wanna
have
go
a
in
bounty on
between?
themselves.
Let's go in between the barn and the...
That you guys only?
There's somebody else here. I'm behind you guys. Somebody is.
Can I not drown
looting.
myself? There we go. There we go. I see one guy.
Where? Is it you in the bar on the top?
Playing it there?
That doesn't count. Supernatural fun.
Yeah, I'm dead now.
Alitos with the kill?
GG's, Kalitos.
That's such good guns, I should fucking drown in the water.
I'm spectating
I'm watching.
Supernatural fun.
Same.
Who are you watching also?
Supernatural,
fun.
he's looting across from you.
Okay, I have good loot. Maybe he's gonna find it in the water.
You gonna play this round?
Oh no. So Carlitos has a kill?
You're just gonna take the good guns and drown yourself.
Yeah. Carlitos has a kill?
Yeah. You got one kill.
So Supernatural Fun, did you fight him or you just died to him? Airborne.
No, he shot me when I was in the water. Trying
Aha, okay,
Yeah, well,
so it
of
doesn't count.
course, Maximus, I love to jump straight away. I obviously just wanna watch people. Or else I would play the tournament myself. Eden is dead.
Eden is unlucky.
Killed by a Tommy gun.
Aryan with the kill.
Maximus killed.
Can you unban Norman again? He said he gonna behave. Airborne. Carlitos. With a kill. I really don't know how to unban people.
Yeah, you do.
We found a pink storm.
But you know I drowned with the pink car.
I know. I saw that.
Very sweaty.
Very, very sweaty indeed. He's looking for me. Haven't found him yet. Ooh, supply drop.
And Jaffa goes with the first kills. Don't forget that Jaffa has a bounty on himself.
Yeah. From fist button airborne.
Babas Davis also have a bounty on himself.
Yeah. No mediums, no nothing.
Can't unban him.
Two supply
you did
drops,
it.
no mediums.
Okay.
I think you did it, Airborne.
I did.
Supernatural found 1,267 wins, man. What a sweat lord. Bro. Guy has more wins than Drift, no? Fuck.
Well, while all of you are playing solo squads, he plays only solo.
Hokies took care of Davis. Hokies got the Hercules got the bounty.
No, they're teaming. Alright. Hercules with the kill and the bounty.
Davis.
The only problem is
Davis
that theory is that
It's like,
Supernatural is third.
Who the hell is TTV Storm Muppet?
I don't know who that is.
Probably
Very angry, I see here.
Muppet Show.
Bro,
It's an awful place.
I don't know how bomb ass. How, man?
We got a medium. Here. Third supply drop, no medium, no heavy, no nothing.
Stephos took care of Hercules.
Hercules.
Oh. Stephos is not in the tournament, but
He definitely should be. He's doing very well.
I didn't sign up. I'm not running behind the players. So Hercules has one kill and he's out, but he has the bounty.
There, he finally found heavy. Three supply drops and 2 saves it took to find one heavy or medium even. Nero is killing.
One kill for Nero.
Beautiful headshot from Sturm.
From 330 bits to 1,000 for you to take a shot, greedy? What? Since when was a shot 330 bits? Remind me, Spot. You don't want to see Submit drunk? Huh? No problem. Alright, Carlitos, Unforgiven, Maximus still in the game.
But Hercules, you did really good. You won one.
Spot,
round.
900 bits and Submit takes another shot. Scop is out, I think. Best. I think this.
What about you, Ripper? When are you gonna do a shot?
I do all the shots with you. I'm just stronger.
Okay, good. Ooh, Jaffa kills double.
Jaffa.
And also Carlitos kills Miki.
Jaffa killed. Miki Angelova is dead.
Yeah, by Carlitos' way.
Carlitos way with 3 kills. Best. Jack Fura Tripa. Best game. So after this round, we gonna have the hunting. That's gonna be totally different. I think there's gonna be much more fucking action. Oh caralho, foda-se. Estás como moca. Hello, Brasil. Foda-se. Buceta peluda. Oh. Maybe he's not so polite, but... Alright, come on. Supernatural fun has supernatural guns, supernatural sweat.
Only 12 bullets. That's all.
What's well, that's a bug. He has a full magazine.
Yeah, but 12 spare bullets.
I want to see some action. He didn't kill anybody yet. That was only airborne. He has a heavy, he has a drop, he has everything that you need. I want to see some fucking action.
Supply drop. That would be his 4th supply drop.
Yeah, I mean, what else can he get in that supply though? Maybe a pink car or pink brand or something like that.
If
He
was
has
following
everything.
the stream, he knew there was a pink car laying and waiting for him. He only took a dive.
So, guys, where is the rest of the people? Not really, Bob-ass. I'm sorry for that.
You haven't met any people either, though, so...
But the hunt is gonna be more fun for you. Maybe there you have a chance. The last 3 rounds gonna be the hunt.
Sehr gut.
Look, there's
Ooh,
some-
there's a guy. Maybe
Even
that's
far
Wawa.
right. Even soft, yeah.
We saw Wawa with the same skin. Might be him.
Oh, Yeah, he's gonna lure him out. Come on, supernatural fun. We want to see some action. At least in the hunt, we're gonna have everybody pushing.
There's more people. Yo.
Ah, that's
Right, don't get your Pro Guardian. I believe.
Come on, supernatural. You have everything. Go for the fights, goddammit. Aggressivo. We need aggressivo. Oh, it was Mickey the Fiki out. GG's. To supernatural fun with his first kill of the tournament, actually. Let's fucking go.
Yeah. Yeah, the pink gewehr.
I see that he likes sniping. It's alright. Can play however we want. I just say we want some action.
Now we want to see that supply drop opened.
Yeah, we want to hear that opening sound that makes me so horny.
That's the sound of the game.
Yeah. Call it tactical, Spot. Call it tactical. I love to call it tactical as well.
Always close. For sure.
Ah, Jaffa! Fuad is dead, but he had a good round, Fuad. So, Jaffa with another kill. But don't worry, guys. The last 3 rounds, you can make a big difference in the last 3 rounds, gentlemen. Or let's say ladies and gentlemen.
Can change around.
Ah, sorry?
The whole tournament can change around.
The last one, yeah, they can make a little bit of an impact, yeah.
Yeah, they can definitely turn around the scoreboard.
Eh, it's okay, Spot. No problem. You're not judging, we're just wondering why you're not playing in that tournament, sir.
I like how people say that they're tactical and not like the Trilla
Carlito's
level.
way.
Carlitos with the 4th kill, he's starting to get warm, Carlitos.
The biggest way to be tactical is to kill.
Oh, this guy's gonna get melted, man. Oh, is that Crow Guardian? Oh, of
Oh my
course,
God,
and he
this is
died in
so
the
funny.
Arctic. Unlucky, man.
Oh, he flies so high. Oh
He
my God.
fly, he really fly to the moon. Maximus with the first kill, I think.
GG. Papa Schlauch with the Guardian.
No, Aryan. Papa is down. Papa is down.
Fuad is writing a 10th for Jaffa. For his
Luca
Got killed
Machine.
Nero.
Nero is out, but he had 1 kill. Luca Machine with a kill. With the first kill. Yeah,
I knew
Jaffa is a
Luca
camper, I knew it.
Machine- Luca Machine has had a really good tournament.
You're gonna see Jumpers killed it! Jumpers killed! Bro, that's not Jumpers playing. Come on. Bro.
Look, while you guys have been gone, we've played a lot of solo.
No. This is Mama playing for Chompers.
How much would he have paid Mama to do it? That's the question.
Send him a baguette. I think Chompers is just in shape tonight.
Yeah.
Doesn't have so much kills, but Chompers could be also a title contender. Attention! Attention, guys! Attention! We trust in Chompers. He's a bot. Bots never
Yeah,
lie.
because people in this tournament, I see a lot of people are holding back and waiting for the right moment to push or to attack. They're just like trying to be as well thought through every move they make as possible. But then Chumpas just goes around and kills them all, you know?
Somebody
Kills all the
says
moves.
that Jaffa is a full camper. Very angry there. What's up? Hi, Messiah, man. Mr. Fortnite. Welcome back, Mushi. Fucking shit mod. I see that he's not gonna push anyone. It's alright, that's why we have the hunt after, man. Exactly because of this, because then it fucking counts. 900 more bits and Submit takes extra shots. Oh. Fuad, I agree, he's a big camper. And I think he's also a cheater.
Who?
Jaffa.
Yeah.
Oh, Submit, you sound so drunk already. Yes, I was talking to the legend Bogdan Bogdanovic. Unluckily, Warzone has him, or DMZ has him. Wait.
Getting sniped from both sides.
But we're gonna all remember him in our hearts. Bogdan Bogdanovic Lukanovic. He's hurt.
Oh my god, that laugh.
Guys, don't worry about the not action. Next round, the last 3 rounds, you're gonna have action as fuck. This is gonna be the most exciting for you guys to watch. You're gonna have all boners because everybody has to push. If you don't push, you don't get any points. You're gonna see after that round. There is gonna be also bounties, but 300 bits bounties. What, sorry?
There's one right next to him and he's not pushing, it's like he's
No,
looking upwards
he
and
has
like,
3 kills. He has a good round. He doesn't need to. I mean, we are the stupid guys who push, actually. He has to stay calm, take his time. I'm also this fucking idiot who pushed around and then you run into Hercules with a video in the fucking corner. Normal. I hate.
who do you think is gonna do really well in the next round? I think for sure Hercules. He's so used to being on.
I think Hercules play already that tournament that he knows how it works. So on the big screen with his MG, he can be good. Jaffa also. I don't know about the other guys. Well, we're gonna see what's gonna happen.
I would definitely put my money on Hercules.
I don't put my money on Hercules. He's shit. He plays like Madden. One time he's good, then he's shit. I would put my money on Bomas Davis. I think he's gonna surprise us. And Norman, you play or you show us what you got like Carlito does? Hmm? Show us what you got. Oh. So if we would be in that round now, Subme, if we would be already in the next round in the hunt, Supernatural Fun would miss so much points because he's still on the big screen and nobody killed him.
And the timer is still going.
The timer is still going. Every minute you're gonna play in the solo hunt, you get 1 point on foot. If you go in a car or in a chopper, the clock stops. Alright, Mr. Shit Talker. I don't like this gameplay. GG's to Super, but come on, show us some aggressivity, man. He has no more plates now. Okay, it's over. Aryan got killed by whoever that is. He gonna burn Chow. Supernatural fun. Was fun.
Oh my god, he survived that.
He did, but he gonna die anyway. Perkins is out. Joppes killed Cheap Gas, and he died.
Stephos killed him.
So Supernatural Fun is dead with 2 kills actually. It was only. Joppes killed Cheap Gas. GG's.
Now it's all counting on who dies next.
Yeah. Jompus, where is Jompus?
Because we're up to 4 people, so the next person who died did not make the top 3.
Jompus with 2 kills. GG's Jompus. Jaffa has a bounty on himself. Who killed Jaffa? He's still alive, no?
I think so.
So Jaffa has to get in the top 2 now. Stephos is
I'm
MNK?
amazed. I don't
Really?
know.
He doesn't seem like MNK though.
It seemed interesting to me that Jaffa is playing this tournament in the last Final 4 and he still have time to come in and drop some.
Soft bread ripper mushy, Alter.
GG's Alta. I'm normally the sub for High Messiah, man. He's very high. Tottenham, he's poor. So Jaffa needs to get in the top 2 to collect his own bounty. Hercules collected the bounty on Bombers Davis. Guys, after this round we're gonna have 3 very, very exciting rounds, I think.
Yeah.
After this is gonna be very special, very fun, I think.
Stephos with the green leaves, not too bad.
Of course, they have to watch the stream, man. It's tournament time, man. They don't have to watch Warzone like you cry. Oh, come on. Somehow I hope Jaffa dies. I don't know why. Ooh, Fistbin. Ooh.
I Luca machine in the fire.
Oh, one-shot kill on
Yeah.
Luca. Wow.
Oh, that means...
Yeah, well, he was so burned by the fire.
So Luca Machine is
third. Now it's up to Stephos.
GG's to Luca
versus
Machine.
Jaffa. Stephos versus Jaffa.
Oh, right, on the right.
That's why he was totally wasted and he couldn't even finish the fucking stream. But he was not making tournament, he was just fucking drunk. Jaffa against Stephos. I think Stephos has this. No, Stephos is gonna die now.
Oh my god, Jaffa won the game! GG!
GG's Jaffa.
Oh my god.
Everyone, big GG to Jaffa. and
Oh,
Mr.
GG
Dragon.
suck a dick, man. Bro, he was totally wasted. I remember that stream, man. GG's, guys. He got his own bounty collected. So now, guys, if you started shit in the tournament. Oh my god.
Oh God! Made a trap, baby. Woo! Dirty American.
GG's.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
So guys, we have a little 5 minutes break intermission. Oh. So this is the hunt rules. Do you wanna explain it? Oh wait, I have to count. We're gonna have to do the counting of the points. So we're gonna have like 5-minute break. So you guys know where you're standing, how actively you have to play, or how you say that? How aggressive you have to play.
Well, I think you need to explain the most important part, that this is a stream sniping section of the tournament, where you only score points if you're on the screen.
Exactly.
So now you can stream snipe all you want. You have to watch the stream. You have to hunt down the guy on the stream to get points. You can only score
And
points when you're on the stream.
Most importantly, you're on a timer. You're on the clock. The second you start the stream, the second you get on the big screen, the timer goes. 1 point per minute, right?
Yes.
As long as you're actively doing
Yeah.
stuff and you're not camping in a bush, you won't get shit.
And as well, if you jump in a vehicle, any type of vehicle, tank or a chopper, we stop the time.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna explain you one more time, but just let's check if there is
Jaffa.
any
Not gonna answer
wrong
that
points.
question.
Nero, 1 kill. Norkins is out. Arjen, 3 kills. Hercules, 1 kill and the bounty kill. Bomaz, 0. Papa Schlauch, 0. Frantimi, 0. Mickey Angelova, 0. Double Alpha, 0. Chompus, 2. Jaffa, 4 and the win. Luca Machine, 2 and 3rd. Red Dead Fred is out of the tournament, I think. Okay. Crow Guardian, 0. Diden, 0. Fuad, 0. Supernatural Fun, 2 kills. Wowa, I didn't say Wowa. Is he dead? 0. Tomba, 0. Sami, 0. Maybe give up. Fizban, 0. Idibloy, 0. Jobanito, 0. Snoopy, 0. Killjoy, I don't know, 0. Okay, guys. This last 3 rounds. Do you have any questions? Someone have any questions?
I don't think they fully understand because nobody's asking any questions.
We don't know if he's still playing, but you don't get any points for being 2nd or 3rd in the hunt. You are lying, Maximus. You had 1 kill, I think. And Carlitos had 4. Okay, I give you 2. You're shit anyway. Carlitos 4. Maximus 2. So, you get 2 points per kills if you are on stream. You can only get points on stream. If we are watching you, you get points. And if you win in the end, you get 5 points extra. Then, if you want to do live bounties on the player that are on the stream, you can do that. 300 bits, 1 bounty. If this guy dies on the stream, you get, how is that? 3 extra points. He doesn't get any minus points, but you get 3 extra points. Did you understand? Any questions? Can we go for the next round?
Fizman, you do get points for killing teamers if you do it on the stream.
I will only count 1 of your best rounds. Same in the last 4 rounds you play, I count only 2, yeah?
Functional. Hello,
For this
man.
year, probably yes. Any questions, guys? On the stream, kill. If you want to put live bounties, you can. 3 rounds, I count only 1 of your round of this. The best one. I think everybody understood. There's no questions. Oh, Inap is inviting. You can camp, but you're not getting any points. And every minute you are on the stream, you get 1 extra point. I think everybody understood. Can we search? You guys are ready?
Ready.
Anybody ready? Why do you want to camp at stream snipe? What a stupid question. Oh my god. Bro, minus points for stupidity, Jaffa. Alright, I think everybody understood. Only on the big screen. If somebody puts live, let's say, I don't know, Hercules is close to a guy that is on live stream. He can put instant the bounty on the stream and it counts for the guy who is on the stream. He kill him and he gets 3 extra points. So guys, now we need to count very closely. You have the timer, Subme?
Yep, I'm ready.
Search, guys. Of course, you can camp and wait for this guy. It's totally okay. You can do whatever you want, guys. You can do how you want. But remember, let's say Fizban sees that Jaffa is on the stream and he sees that Jaffa is coming closer to him. He can put 300 bits. If he slay Jaffa, then he gets 3 extra points. So, I'm gonna count the points fast for the last 2 games, what we had. So Nero had his best 2 rounds. I think maybe I need to take another color. So Nero, his best 2 rounds are 2 kills. That's 4 points. Norkins had 1 good round, but I think he's out. Aryan had 2 good rounds. Hercules had also 2 good rounds. Papa Bum-ass.
gonna be Hercules.
Shit!
The fuck up.
So who's your bounty on Hercules?
Oh, it's only 300 Hercules.
So put 100 more and you get double bounty.
But you can say it live in the stream after Herc.
Also
GG's
fine.
in the chat. Miki Angelova had 1 good round. Jompus,
I need to back out.
Jaffa had 2 good rounds. Luca Machine.
I'm in.
I mean also Crow
This
Guardian,
gun is in.
Deeden, Fuad, Supernatural
Eden
Fun.
is in. Jaffa, Nero, Crow Guardian, Aryan, Luca Machine, Maximus, Chumpas. Wow. 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 That's the hardest name to pronounce ever.
You had 4 kills, guys. If I asked you before.
Peter Parker is in. Miki Angelova, Hercules. Fuad.
Okay, if you put 100 more bits, you can use 2 bounties live, Hercules. If you are close, then remember, Hercules have 2
Tell me
bounties.
got
He can
this
tell us,
round.
guys.
GG's. Yeah.
All right.
Thomas Davis is in, and 2 anonymous players.
Some people already left. Most of the scum guys because they were shit.
But
And
they didn't realize
They got
that this is
Katsumi.
the one that actually counts. This part is the one that counts the most.
okay, if you have
5
to, if you
points.
win this game, you get 5 extra points. Collecting the bounty, if there is a bounty, so Hercules gonna wait until he sees somebody's close to him. He put the bounty. If he collect it, he get the kill. That's 2 points plus the 3 points extra for the bounty. He can also put double bounty on somebody. And we're gonna
Maximus,
count
who is
every
not-
minute after you guys kill me, or we're gonna spectate. From that on, the time is going. So Subme, you know the rule. We go somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Since it was 500 bits, I'm gonna do half a shot.
Oh. Fuck, half prices now. But be ready to count the points. Subme,
Yeah.
the time, please. I will tell you.
Yeah, I have the timer ready.
So I'm gonna
Time's
just
left in the lobby to go.
1 minute.
Oh, I don't think I'm gonna get in.
Oh.
I think it's gonna be a good round.
3.65.
I think this part of the tournament is definitely gonna change the scoreboard. Depending
Could.
on who
It
is
could,
gonna
yes.
push. Yeah, because for example, Sami Killer, he said didn't get in the last round. He hasn't made that many kills, but now he has the opportunity on the big screen to make like shitloads of kills and points.
You can, yes.
And we know he is good on screen.
You can win here. 5, 6, 7, 14, 20. Divided by 2.5, it's 8. Bum-ass, easy to count, 0. 0. Deploy 0. 0.
I'm not gonna get into this one. Sappy, you want to send
Need 40 points.
So,
60 points and you win. Lisbon.
the Ripper.
You go somewhere else. You go wherever you
Fucking
want.
Ripper machine.
Yeah, Guys, you have to hunt me down, so remember. Remember, you guys have to hunt me down. As soon as I'm dead, your point's gonna count. So stop me, I'm gonna tell you when to start the timer, yeah? Right, bonne chance. I'm gonna also put my timer myself, but only 1 round of the best counts. Remember. So let's see who we gonna spectate. I'm watching.
I'm ready with the timer.
I'm watching you, perfect sub me. You really die in the same place. Okay, we're watching Maximus. Let's start the timer. Start it.
Yeah, I started.
Okay, Maximus on the big screen. After every minute he survives, he gets 1 point.
Yep. Only problem is so many people close to him right now.
Ah. Tell me, when he dies, what minute was it?
Yep.
Remember, only points counting time when you're on foot.
Pro Guardian killed Mickey, but that doesn't count.
That doesn't count, we don't give a shit. You remember, watch the stream and kill the guy on the stream.
Yep.
Everybody has to rush in for this guy, but of course, don't die to another player. I think Maximus is a little bit drunk here.
I mean, definitely try to kill a bit, or just survive. He's about.
Yeah, he can just chill. I mean, they have to push him, so. Jump has killed Thomas Davis.
See, they killing the wrong people.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maximus is getting point. You are very late, Southern Kelly. You're very late, but you can play the last 2 rounds after this.
Thomas Davis with an excuse trophy. I'm sick.
Oh no, he's just drunk. How many time is it? What is the time?
153.
So Maximus already on 2 points almost.
Yup, he's at 2 points exactly now.
Very good. Maximus is making point. Unforgiven just slayed Jaffa. That means Jaffa is not gonna get any points this round. Luca Machine slayed Unforgiven. Not gonna make any points. Guys, please don't tell me that Maximus is gonna just survive this shit like that.
To victory.
Oh my god, no. Jaffa, if you die now, and you're not gonna hunt this guy down, remember.
Literally camp for 10 minutes and earn 10 points, you know?
Yeah, 10 points is like Hercules is on 8 now at the moment. I didn't count the other guys, but I have time now to count. Okay, you watch him. I'm just gonna finish the counting so we know at least a little bit the scores.
Yep.
That's 8 divided by 2.61. Papa has a
It's
3.
almost up to 3 minutes now.
What?
And there.
Somebody's coming.
He has 3 points.
Somebody's here. Is that Nero? No,
Nice.
Nero!
1 point.
And Maximus with the kill.
Extra points.
But Nero came. He understood the game.
Yup. Unfortunately,
Next one is
that did not
coming.
go so well.
3 point. 0-6.
At least Maximus understood that he should not lay in a bush and camp or get in a vehicle, and that is, I think...
Ah, he's doing it smart. He has time.
Yeah.
Someone's taking a B right in front of him.
He just has a guy on front of him on top. So he cannot do anything about it. He's in
Guys,
the car,
believe
so-
me, these points can make such a big difference.
Is he trying to lure the two against each other and then third party?
Even for Maximus, actually, he can do a lot of points by fucking pushing everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that a fucking Storm Tiger there?
He has a guy watching him.
Dumbass, you can even win the tournament with one fucking round. With one round, you can win the tournament. Almost.
As long as he stays for the tournament, he's good. As long as he doesn't get killed. He's getting pushed now. He made another
And he
kill.
killed the
It's
next
done.
one, Fistman. Is Maximus getting this shit tournament back? Is he getting back in the tournament?
Jeez.
I have to tell you guys, at the moment,
He's up to 5 minutes. I mean, he has a lot of points.
yeah, he has already 9
2
points.
kills, 5 minutes. Really good. And he only had green guns. Imagine that.
I have to say, Jumpers is pretty good in the lead at the moment. You see Jaffa, 10, 9. This is 18
I'm not
plus.
sure if it was Papa Schlau up there trying to snipe him earlier. But I think he backed up a bit. Oh, he's there. Yeah, good movement right
At the moment, Jaffa is in the lead, followed by Jumpers as second. Jumpers second place, guys.
Yeah. Imagine that. Pink Storm, now
Six.
let's go. There's 2 people shooting him. Going for the third party.
3. I'm hydrating a lot. I'm hydrating, but guys, if nobody kills Maximus, guys, he gets a lot of points.
Yeah,
Forget about everything.
6
Push the guy
minutes
on the
now.
screen. Get in the screen.
He has 10 points right now just for surviving and making 2 kills.
What is the time on him now?
6 minutes, 6.5.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, if no one kills him from behind, then...
Okay, these people, they want him to win, I think.
Yeah.
I want this gosh guy to win. That means if he ends this round like this, he even overtook Jaffa.
I mean, we're up to 7 minutes now. What can he do? He's just beasting. He just turned on the switch that said beast mode activated.
I mean, he's not even running away from the fights. He's not really.
No. He's just running around. Staying constantly on foot, like we asked.
Oh. Come on, he has to get slayed now. What is the time?
7:32.
Stream snipe his fucking ass, guys. Come on, you do it on regular basis with me. Why you don't do it with him? You don't get out. He's
Funny,
even
it's
drunk,
good.
man. He's even drunk. Somebody get him.
Now someone hit him. Took all his plates.
I still have some.
Yeah.
Max pussy. Very angry, Aaron. Very angry. Oh, Didan is close.
I mean, he's up to 8 minutes and no one's pushed him hard.
Come on. Alright, Didan has
Dylan
it.
is on the screen.
So Didan has the one.
Dylan
What was
on
the time?
8
What was the mine?
8
What?
minutes. 8.
Okay.
15. So 8 minutes.
Start with Didan now.
Yep.
So
with the
Didan,
first
2 kills
kill.
on live stream. Let's go. 200 more bits and we take a next shot, sir. So Dylan has a good start with 2 kills on the live stream.
Yep.
200 bits, you get another shot.
That means taking another shot.
I'm just preparing it. I'm not even gonna.
Eat shit, motherfucker!
I just know Airborne is doing that all the time.
Just waiting,
200
yeah.
bits,
Just waiting.
He's just waiting when it's a little bit cheaper, you know?
Yeah, like I could do that. I'll carry that.
So 16
He's up to 40 seconds.
plus 2 is 18 divided on 1.26. Fuad is also pretty good in the tournament.
I did the shot now. You happy?
I'm gonna do also a little shot. Stop me is not alone. D-Dan is collecting
He's up
points
to
now,
a
guys.
minute. He's up to a minute now.
Oi, oi, oi. Next guy's coming for him. That's Luca Machine. So, what was the time? Was it 1 minute or not?
110, 110.
Okay,
Starting
and now
the
stop the
timer on
time
Luca.
for Luca.
Yep, I already started.
Luca has the 1 kill, and the time is starting for Luca. Let's go, Luca.
I don't know if he's glitching on purpose or...
He's just high.
He's just saying hello. So 4 divided by 2.49 is 1.60. 5 and the win is 10.
He's only up to half a minute.
Plus 1 is 6 plus 6. 16 points for what we will. Tomba 2 divided by 2.28 is 0.87. Sami Killer. Yes. You know the drill. Thank you, Bombass. Is somebody camping here? Ooh, and Sheep Gas is on the live stream. We don't know who he is.
We got 1 minute.
So Luca Machine have 1 minute. Okay, that's 1 point. We got 2.
I'm not taking the time for cheap
Oh,
tests.
we don't need. Good for the other contenders. 3.54. 8 divided by 3.89. 2.05. Brisbane with 6 divided by 0.82. 7.31. Eight. 14, I think, Jaffa. 8 plus 6 is 14. Oh no, sorry. 8 plus the bounty is that was the first place, no? I need to count the first points now, fucking first. 3. 6 divided by 1.61 is 3.72. I think Hercules is gonna do something very fishy, man. Who is this guy? Who was that? Jamaji, oh my god, soft as fuck. Alright, I'm almost done with the fucking counting. 5. 9 kills. 18 plus 4 plus 6 plus 3 is 31 divided by 2.27 is 13.65. I gotta tell you guys that after the first tournament rounds, the 4-1, Jaffa was... Fuad was first. No, sorry, Wowo is first with 16 points, then Fuad with 14, then Jaffa with 13, then Chompus with 12, and then all the others. But Maximus just made... how much? 12 points this round, so he's gonna be in the lead also now. Doesn't look good, guys. I mean, unlucky. You guys are lucky that this guy is not in the tournament. No speech to that.
Oh, Hercules. Down. Hercules.
Oh,
down
Hercules is somewhere close.
So Hercules is close.
He has double bounty on him.
I really do hope Hercules win this. How many points would he make right now?
+6. If you kill him, he makes 8 points by killing this guy.
Yeah. And then... Well,
Oh, but he killed Chompus. Doesn't count. Actually, you can play in the last round, yeah. But I will...
I'm ready with the timer whenever.
not
Hercules
count
makes
your
his
points for the tournament, because that would be unfair.
Imagine if Hercules put all those bounties and then he gets killed.
It doesn't matter. He's just dead then.
Yeah, well...
Just wasted
what's
his
the
money.
waste? I know.
You can just play functional, but you didn't get any points from the first part. Remember. So guys, if somebody wanna be on the big screen and get the points, you need to kill cheap gas. Mostly Hercules put bounty on him. That means if somebody else kill this guy, he gets the bounty, guys. Come on. Somebody fucking kill this man.
There is a freaking artillery.
Guys, you should really push this guy and kill him. Get the points.
No one cares how many points you made without being on the screen.
I don't know, I'm just telling you, at the moment, even Chompus can win this tournament. Chompus! Next round, you wait until you close, you put 20 bounties on the guy. And you kill him.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to kill
Bayonets
him.
his ass.
And then Submit rings 7 shots in a row.
Oh my god, that would suck.
The guy camping? That's Hercules! Oh no!
Oh, he had it.
Okay, it doesn't matter, he died. He didn't get any points, but at least he didn't lost any points. Oh, yo.
Wow.
Imagine if this guy just win.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's better for the other contenders, so the other ones doesn't do any points. Oi. Now he's a little bit fucked. Let's see. Make your time ready, Submit.
I am.
So, this guy just push him and he's dead. Okay, it's a teamer, we don't care. Or whatever he is.
There's still Fuat who can come in and kill this guy.
What is still in? He can get the win, he can get the kill, that's 7 points. The time probably not gonna be so much time, but... And Fuad is in the lead at the moment probably. Not yet though, but... I only count one of these best rounds of you guys. Only one, remember. How about Maximus? How much he had?
Really far.
Maximus also here. Is Carlito still here or not? everybody from the tournament has to hope that Alan Sika kill Fuad. Because if Fuad wins this round,
Yup.
just have to hope that Dylan doesn't win this round. Wait, what?
Fuad, he played really good this game.
What I have to say, he plays really surprising me that he plays very good. He's always good, but he's playing. Oh, smart move.
I might actually kill him.
Yeah.
It's the top 3
Where
now.
is the other one? There's still one more. There's still one more guy. It's Fuad, Alan Santita, and somebody else. Is it Unforgiven? Is he still here? Who else is here?
He got hit. Hit again. Whoever that is a good sniper. I think it's Wawa.
Oh, what? Something's drunk. So 1,000 more bits, guys. Give Sub me another shot. She loves it. It's gonna be totally drunk. End it. And her. Oh my god. Duel.
One headshot now.
Sniper enemy at the gates. Alan Sich against. Sammy's so drunk. I can't hear that.
Put him on the dirt. Put his ass in the dirt.
Oh my god.
Emotional damage.
Let's go shots at me. My friend Sinocide, he just doesn't give a shit.
Let's do it.
Cali, 1,000 bits. I give you a shot and a beer. Cheers.
I spilled on my
Sinocide.
shirt.
Okay, he's pushing. Is that a mistake? That was the mistake, man.
Yup. One
Everybody in
shot
the tournament can be happy that Fuad didn't make it. I don't know who is the last guy. Who is the last guy? He can make points. Oh no. Oh no. Cowboy accent. That's racist. You cannot say cowboy.
So racist, Darth.
That's so
Like
racist,
he
man.
thinks he
Jace
got a zebra
Jumpers.
accent. Fucking cunt. Put him
Mr.
on the dirt.
Hercules
Put
and
his ass in the dirt.
Emotional damage.
zebra accent.
Jumpers, remember you can put 2 bounties in the next game. GG's, 400 more bits, and Sub me take another shot.
You still watching Airborne?
I don't have a beer. I can follow up with the rum coke.
Yeah, but I need to back out.
I will stop this.
What do you need to?
Stopping this share play.
Okay. Finish.
Boosh!
Yeah! Get some! Little Mexican fucker!
Maximus,
Around the Mexican head.
you show us your Insta first, and then we think about it. 100 missing, guys. 100 missing, and Sami take another shot. But let us count the points. So this round, Maximus got 12 points extra.
Yup.
So Maximus is
Put him on the dirt. Put
on
his ass in the dirt.
14-10. GG's, Nero.
Emotional damage.
Is it another shot now?
Yes. Guys, remember, now you can win this tournament still, even if you're totally
The way you
shit.
said it, Ripple, the way you said it.
What?
Yes!
Yeah. Diden
Finally.
had 2 kills, that's 4, plus 1 minute, that's 5 points for Diden. So he's also back in the game. And Luca Machine had 2 points plus 3. And Luca Machine is also in here, guys. The rest, all X.
Look at Lemon Scented at the end. Sorry, Lemon Scented. I don't know how you don't know these things.
I took my shot, come on, Ripper.
I didn't hear that. Can you show us again?
No.
More Insta. Alright, guys. I'm gonna tell you who is in the lead at the
You need
moment.
subtitle soon.
I'm gonna tell you who is top players. Is Wawawoo, Fuat, Maximus, Diden, Luca Machine, Jaffa, Chompus, Hercules, Arien. Yes, that's about the guys who are in the top leads. But you can still make it, guys. 2 more rounds. I only count one of these best rounds. Remember, only one. Everybody's ready? Oh, she didn't do this. She didn't took any shots. Everybody's ready, guys. Give me a ready, and we go for the next round.
Ready. Let's go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Surge.
Go, 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 go.
What was that?
Oh my gosh,
I
he's...
don't know.
Something's so drunk.
What was that?
You guys want to hear something funny?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So in my culture, we have this thing called yoik, which is like a song from the deepest part of your throat. So what that basically does is make your voice really, 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 really sound like a dude. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
You're definitely not ready.
Hello, how are you guys?
Suck me. Suck me.
I
don't
am
think
from
I-
the other side.
I don't think you've gone deeper enough. I think you need to go deeper. You can go deeper.
Oh no, I can't go deeper now.
Sabi.
Look, I did this the other day to a friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh, you have a brother."
Okay. Guys. One thing. Jumpers have 2 bounties next round. Remember. Jumpers,
You go deeper, Jaffa.
go make it dive. Make it count. Oh my god, I'm also starting to be tipsy. Make it count.
We want Old Man Airborne to sing the
No,
national
I'm not-
anthem.
Yeah,
Come
sing
on.
the national anthem,
no,
Airborne.
I'm not
Come on,
singing
man.
Can you
See
Yeah.
by the dawn early light. I'm so proud of this. We gonna invade some countries and so proud to take down the half of the world. Airborne.
I still have the clip where me
You're
and the
doing great.
Spanish
You're doing
girls
great.
were
Yeah,
doing
singing
great, my
Hit Me
ass,
Baby
man.
one more time.
All right, guys. Remember, guys, everybody
Are
can
you
still
never?
win. Even a guy like Bum S. Davis and Double Alpha with 0 points.
Airborne,
I'm
yeah,
sorry for
yeah.
you, but you can still win this.
It's American server now. Now Hercules should shine with bum.
Guys, Unforgiven. Even you can win still. Even you were totally shit, man. Okay, we are not so bad. There is some people who were more bad. Unforgiven. You had 2 kills in that round, so you were not so bad. That's 4.
Okay, stream. So if some of you donate 1,000 bits, not only are me and Ripper gonna do a shot, but Airborne is gonna sing as well or beatbox.
Oh, that
Your
sounds.
choice.
Yeah, sell that shit. Sell that shit.
Oh,
You're gonna sing the whole American anthem.
But then it has to be 1,000 bits in one go. Then he will sing.
Ciao, ciao, Messiah. Ciao, good night.
I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, I'm in for it.
Me and you are shotting like crazy people.
Yeah, everyone is
and
just
he's not
watching and
doing
fucking
shit.
touching his pee-pee, man, the whole time. Fuck. Yeah, he can sing everything. I don't know the song, but he can.
He can
Did
sing-
it
he can
my
sing,
way. Isn't
the-
that fucking Britney Spears
Yeah,
or something?
yeah. No.
Tell me
You should do
why.
it. It's Backstreet Boys.
The problem is if you sing it too good, YouTube is gonna ban the stream, so you cannot watch the tournament tomorrow.
No, Norman, I don't know what that song is. Sorry.
Yeah, he
You
knows.
have heard Backstreet Boys.
He's lying, man, guys. He's lying. He
Too
knows.
old. I'm too old.
So,
for Backstreet
guys, now
Boys.
let's go back to the tournament. There's still plenty of money to win.
But you definitely heard that song.
Remember, guys.
Fire.
Remember.
My
Jumpers.
fire.
Jumpers, your English is shit, but when you're close to somebody who is on the live, put the bounty on him. You understand, Jumpers? I hope you understood. Oh
Why
my
is
god.
people asking about my Instagram now?
Yeah, they are horny.
Perverts.
Guys, do you understand that? Why is nobody asking about my Instagram, fucking cunts?
I'm
Where's
gonna
mine?
write both of our Instagram.
I have my Nightbot, he watched my Instagram. So, Jumpus understood. Guys, you have to hunt me down. I'm gonna tell you where I land. I'm gonna land on Havdalar Island. 1,000 bits and she puts her Instagram here. Oh my god, you sold her for free? Okay.
No, I put our Instagram.
Yeah, but you should have sold your Instagram. God
Yeah,
damn
that's
it.
true, but
Stop
now I
me, you're
already
not a
sold-
businessman.
Yeah, I'm not a man, so that's correct.
1,000 bits, Jaffa, I show you a picture of my wife. 1,500, I show you the pregnant picture of my wife. 2,000, you can touch my wife's stomach.
Only faked it.
Guys, as I told you, I am going to Havdalar Island. Your choice if you come or not. Oh my god, Kokinakis.
But who should be the one who should be?
Not 100, 1,000. Sorry, what? Stop me?
I'm excited to see who should be the one who starts this.
Stop me, please don't land with me. Not like before.
No, definitely not.
I'm telling you where I land so you guys can go instantly here and you need to watch like a maniac. Oh, there's some people coming with balls, okay. Hi. Yeah. There's another guy coming though.
Yeah, I'm gonna start killing myself. Timer ready.
Jumpus.
Yeah, we gotta watch Jumpers. Alright, Bosho, second round, guys. Watch the timer, sub me.
Yup, I'm ready. I'm watching Luca Machine.
That's cool.
Yeah, who are we watching?
I'm watching Jumpers. You start the time? Jumpers, put the plate in, please. Don't get headshotted. And you can put the bounty also next round if you paid your bounties, so don't worry. So, we are watching Jumpers. Can he get a kill or can he get some time on the stream? Oh, Bombass with the first kill that is not on the stream. Unforgiven, go down. Come on, man. Unforgiven. We forgive you, man. We forgive you. We forgive you. Jumpers, don't be too aggressive. You can just take points by waiting here. What time is it? Sub me?
1:25.
So he's already 1 minute and 25.
Yup.
Tell me when it's 2 minutes, so I stop also the time. Tell me when it's 2 minutes. He can do whatever he wants, Jaffa. He's running around on the island. Stop crying.
Two minutes now.
What? 2 minutes, okay.
Yep.
Jumpers is already on 2 points. The KD was already in the beginning when they had the 4 rounds. The 2 best rounds I counted together and then I divided by the KD. So the people that are a little bit softer have also a chance to have fun in this tournament. And now it's just being on the fucking main screen.
And to everyone out there saying this is not chompas.
Yeah, this is
everyone
Exotic
have a
Prime,
good
of
day.
course. Exotic Prime. Yeah, I thought Aaron is make it a bit fair for people that are not the best, like. Bombas is dead again.
Yeah, I watched that.
There comes the car.
A1.
He's gonna roll.
Somebody wanna kill Jumpus in the water with the car. So he got the 3rd minute. Jumpus already on 3 points.
Yep.
Yeah, look for him here.
Oh, please don't get roadkill, or is there gonna be a video? Bro, if he gonna roadkill in the wall, that's... Oh my god. Oh, Panzerin!
Where's he going?
He has a little bit... Everybody has a little bit delay. Fizzburn! So he was on 3 minutes. GG's to Jumpers, that's 3 points. And Fizzburn starting his time now.
Yeah, I started it.
Jumpers, you got 3 points at least. Bombman's very angry, I see in the stream. Very, very angry. Miki Angelova. No problem, Jumpers. 3 points. You can still be the winner of this tournament, Jumpers. But remember to put the bounty next round. Bro, at the moment, Jumpers, you are the winner of this tournament. At the moment. If nobody else gonna get more time, you're the winner, Jumpers. Because the other people still need to perform.
Firestorm is closing in on a minute soon.
Fizzburn is closing in. Jumpers, you are in the lead. Just put bounty on everyone and you win. That's how you make money. Put bounty on everyone. No, don't put the bounty on everyone. That's stupid because you have to collect it yourself. So you have to be close, then you know you kill him, then you put your 2 bounties next round. There's a guy in front of Fizzburn. Is he blind? Oh my god. That's a typical Fizzburn alta. That was 1 minute for Fizz.
Yeah, starting time again.
And Fizzburn had the 1 kill. And now Max. Guys, if Maximus gonna play like this, he can still win this shit. He has a heavy and everything. Why he doesn't put the flare up, this noob? Oh, yo. Oh, yo. Doesn't look good. Yeah, it was a little bit bad. Can Maximus do at least this 1 point? Problem is Maximus is gonna get only 1 round counting, so it's not adding like together for him. That's not cheap gas, okay? So Maximus didn't get even a minute.
He is on 1 minute now.
Yeah, but it was not a full minute.
This is supposed to go. One person after another coming in. This is how it should be.
Yeah, this is how it should be, exactly.
Constant pushing.
But I wanna see some fucking good strongness from cheap gas here. Oh, you didn't get a minute. Oh.
You know, I wonder if cheap gas is cunts only innate.
Could be, doesn't matter. But why he would take cheap gas? It has to be somebody that
I know, that's why I think it's him. Because I think he knows He knows cheap.
Ah, it's okay, man. Doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. If you...
Why? It's okay. I'm just curious. There's only a few people that would take that name.
But guys, you need to kill this guy. This guy is pretty strong, man.
Oh, here comes somebody in a chopper.
Finally, where is Jaffa? Where is Hercules, man?
Here comes Nero.
Oh, you, Nero! Oh, Nero is going hardcore tonight. Nero doesn't give a shit. Guys, we have only one more round after. Oh, there's somebody closer there already. That looks like Jaffa, Crow Guardian. Looks like Crow Guardian to me. Oh, it's gonna be. Oh, good smokes though. Good smokes.
Luca machine.
Could be also Luca machine, true.
It is.
Nice movement, both of the guys. Good movement, good. Ah, come on, Luca! No, Luca! Oh! Ah, it was good, but unlucky. I thought Luca had it, man, but I mean, it was a good fucking smoke from Luca there in the when he pushed him. It was a good smoke and shit, everything.
He was 5 HP whenever he put the smoke.
Ah, it was good. Good smoke. Unlucky for Luca, but still, Luca, you have one last round after this. You can still win the tournament and $25, bro. You can put it on your penis after. Or airborne, you can put it also in a penis. Oh, are you eating airborne? Okay, everybody is fighting each other. That's Jaffa. Oh my god, Jaffa. Jaffa is gonna lose this tournament because 0 points for him
This
again.
type of movement makes me believe it might be toxic game, maybe.
Could be, yeah, it could be toxic game to be fair. I agree with you.
Sniper.
Could be him. But we don't care. If you want to beat, you need to beat. Oh, Hercules died. He's one shot. I think both are one shot. Oh, and Diden destroyed him. Nice, Diden. That's one kill. Start the timer now.
I did start.
Nice job, Diden. Destroyed him, man. Bro, he lasered him, man. This guy will fucking boom Malta. You have no plays and they still destroyed him. GG's to Diden, man. Brah. Broski. Maximus, you didn't have 1 minute, and if you tell me one, bro, even if you had 1 minute, man, it doesn't make change. Only counts one of your rounds. Just run away, Diden. It is not cheap gas, you idiot. That's toxic aim. You are very smart, Sapmi. You saw that very right. I'm pretty sure it is him.
Yup.
Sapmi is so drunk. Yep. Yep.
Yup. At least I'm good entertainment, if not anything else.
You are absolute lovely entertainment. Like Airborne is only in the back. He's pissing and shitting and eating chips.
Yeah.
And doing the raid mission with me for 1 hour.
2 hours.
Oh,
It's like
2 hours, imagine that. But I have to say, I had fun. I had fun. It was fun.
We did finish it.
Yeah, but it was fun. I thought this... problem is, since I play only this this online player against other player, you miss all this other stuff, you know, like you play against computer. fun also. But I hope my brother Diden is going to the second minute. Second minute now. That's 2 points for Diden. And he have 1 kill. I hope he gets some plates and heavy. I wish Diden stays safe in Ukraine.
He got the full heavy.
And I hope he still has the electricity to finish this last round after. Yeah, it was hard. I was writing with him. He said he never knows when it's going out. It's cold. It started to get cold and shit. That's hard, man. We all hope the war is gonna stop soon. Okay, this guy is clearly not watching the stream. He's totally confused. Oh my god. Guys, remember, Diden is doing points. He didn't start the tournament good.
He's up to 3 minutes. What can we say?
Okay.
All about surviving.
Well, guys, one question. Where was all the tournaments, the teamers, the Cosmo and these guys? Were all there? Maybe he's watching. Maybe I was just talking shit.
You trying to knife?
I think so, yeah. Diden is going for a risk. I don't like those risky shit. Oh, okay, he got Peter Parker, but don't go out of this fucking arty. Diden with another kill and in on 3 minutes. Diden can win this solo tournament. Diden.
Let's be honest, we all want Ukraine to win, don't we?
I don't really like Ukraine and I don't really like Russia, but I just like Diden.
Exactly.
I'm wondering because yesterday they had a big mouth. Oh, Ripper, we're gonna destroy you in 6.
He has a really good position.
He has a good position. He's on 4 minutes. Guys, you wanna let Diden win this tournament? It looks like. I'm not sure yet, but because he had a really bad tournament start, but now he needs a good fucking round. But before we start the last round, I'm gonna tell you the standings, so you know how you guys have to play. Is Bamas in the stream still? Because I can tell him how he has to play. Bamas in the stream still? Bamas? You have to play very aggressive. Very fucking aggressive, my friend. You can still win it, bro. If you on the stream, on the regular, just land with me.
Oh shit, fuck.
Fizbin's right there. Is Fizbin not paying attention? He's right. Oh my god.
Oh my god, Fizbin, man. Sometimes I wonder if he's watching his PP or whatever he's watching. 5 minutes for Diden. That means he has 9 points this round already. He needs more. He needs more. He needs more. Diden needs more. He needs at least 16 points.
Who was the name on that truck?
I don't know. You guys said it's Fizbin. Fizbin said he's dead.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, okay, then we're drunk. Yeah, GG's. Ooh, come on, Diden. Diden is gonna go to the 6 minutes. That means 6 points for Diden, and that means 10 together.
Now it's 6 minutes.
The problem is Diden, it's not gonna be enough. He needs to get at least 16 points this round to be in the lead.
Well,
And
if he gets
what?
the win, he definitely would get the 16 points.
Definitely yes, agreed. He can go for the third party now.
He's up
But
to 10 points.
Diden needs the shit. He is on 6 points. He's on 10 points this round. He need the kill. He need the win. And then, ooh, Jaffa, Chompus, Hercules, Fuad. I don't know where is Fuad, man. Oh, that is Fuad. Oh, is Diden gonna come third party now? Yeah. Oh, there is 2 people in front of him.
Yeah, because it's Hercules.
Oi. means Dida with another kill and 7 minutes. Oy, 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 oy. This last round is gonna be sweaty as fuck. What was not on the screen one time, so...
He's up to 7 minutes. Someone's sniping him. I think actually Didan can win it if he plays it correctly.
Problem is, he had a shit tournament the four round, so he's on 8 minutes and 3 kills. That's 6. That's 14 points, but still not in the lead. You need to win this round.
8 minutes.
And Jaffa has to have just one good round on the cam. But he's shit. Jaffa is just shit. He's always nervous in the end.
I just know Hercules is close, and whenever Hercules puts his...
Is Hercules still in the game? I thought he's dead.
Yeah, I think so. Oh no, okay. Maybe not.
I thought he's dead. I'm not sure.
He might be.
But I think, you know, Jaffa started to drink beer and he spilled it on the floor and then he's totally wasted. I know my Jaffa. He's lost. Oh, supernatural. Okay, it's only supernatural and Didan. Didan has to win this. Didan can, but you even can take time. You don't have to push so aggressive. Ooh, Didan! And Didan,
Yes!
girl, we stopped the time. That's 9 minutes.
9-9.
9-9. That means 9 points, 5 kills,
And the win. 5
and the
points.
win.
Like I said, he could definitely do it.
Oh my god. We have to count the points.
That was very strong from Didan. Everyone, let's get the GG in the chat.
GG's.
Oh my god. GG's to Didan. Okay. Guys, for the last round, I'm gonna count the points. So let's make 3 minutes breaks and then we play the last round. Because I think Didan just put himself in the first place. 10, 19. He had 5 kills, yes? That's 10, 19.
Yeah, but were all 5 of those on the screen though?
Oh shit,
Yeah.
true. Was only 4.
No. He had 0 kills when he killed that one guy on the screen.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I think not. You're right, Airborne. He had 4 kills on the screen. He had 1 before.
Okay.
Sorry. That's 8,
But still, an
17.
impressive round.
Yeah,
4
22
kills
points.
and a win. You said he needed 16?
Yeah, he's on the first place now, I think. So, let's... Fizburn with 3 points. Jumpers with also 3 points. Wisburn with 3 points. Maximus with 2, but it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna count the points together so I can tell you everybody still can win. You just need a good round on the screen, and Jumpers needs a fucking... You can, because only 1 round counts. Can you explain that again to the people? I think they didn't understand.
Only your best round counts.
Of this last one.
Of these 3.
Pepper, you're fucking mushy bastardo. Alta.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, see the
go,
silent fire
guys.
gets his subs?
Only way Didan
Fucking
can win
mushy
is if he
ripper.
either makes
What
a
has
better round,
happened?
or he
Jeez,
just
Sado.
fucks up for everyone.
Soft bread ripper mushy, Alter.
Did everybody understand? GG's to Sinocide, man. What a support tonight. My friend, that's a real life friend, huh?
Ripper, you're like a fucking die ball. Like a soft-boiled egg. God save the Queen.
Luca Machine is also still in the race. I didn't
God
look.
save the queen.
11:33. 1.28. Diden. 20. Diden. He cannot still win it. Guys, it's not over. Believe me.
No. I just
Absolutely,
said
it's
if
not
Diden
over.
is to win, he has to fuck up or make a better round.
He will not make a better round than he did, but the other guys, they have to make a better round.
Yeah, definitely. But if he fucks up for them, you know, then.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I have to go. I'm headed to.
Oh no. You
But
take a shot and then you
good
can
luck.
go.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot in about an hour when I'm.
All right, fun. Thank you for the help, man.
All right, see you guys.
See you.
Ciao.
Ciao. GG's to airborne, guys, everyone.
Someone. GG's airborne.
So, guys, no, sure not. Guys, I'm gonna tell you now the counting, so you know how you have to go in the last round. At the moment, in the lead is... remember, I only count this one good round, so Diden is 23 points in the lead. First place. Second place is this Wawa guy, still. He didn't even play the last rounds. Then, it looks like... Jompus is in third place with 15 points. He needs one fucking good round, this idiot. Jaffa with 13 points. No, Fuad with 14 points in the 4. 5 is Jaffa with 13. And then we have Fisben in the 6th position and Hercules in the 7th with 8 points. So that's all I'm gonna count now, guys. That means all of you can still win. Are you guys ready for the last round? Remember, a lot of points. Bum-ass, if you kill everybody in the last round, you can still win. Yes, in the 6th position. Whatever, 6th position. Oh, sorry, I forgot about Luca Machine. Oh, shit, sorry, guys. Totally, sorry. Sorry, take it back. Okay. Luca Machine is in the 6th position. Luca Machine, sorry, I apologize. Luca Machine is in the 6th position.
Fuck you, Mushy Ripper. I don't shop at fucking Walmart.
Oh my god, how many fucking subs?
6th position is Luca Machine.
Oh my god, how many subs? 50 subs.
Dennis Samo. Oh, Fisben.
50 gifted subs, Ripper, you got from Cheap Gas.
The Russian is here. But is it the guy who is playing or not?
Mushi bastardo. Alta.
He's coming with his Russian stuff.
What? Take my money and put it on your bank account.
He's coming with his Russian gas money. GG's. Alright, guys. Can we get the readies for the last round? So is everything close? You need to be... last round, guys. Come on.
Ёбаный очкошник, блядь. Риппер.
Somebody's cheap gas. We don't know who it is.
Is it gonna be 50 absolute times we're gonna hear this?
Yeah. I can also mute it if you want.
Ripper, you're fucking mushi bastardo. Alta.
Is everybody ready, guys?
Fuck you, Mushy Ripper. I don't shop at fucking Walmart.
7, 6, 5, 4, 5.
Ripper.
Bro, you killed so many people, cheap gas. You destroyed so many lives.
God save the Queen.
Some people are very angry with you.
What? Take my money and put it on your bank account, fucking Ripper.
Mushy Alta with your fucking shit mods.
Oh my god.
Ёбаный очкошник, блядь. Риппер.
Guys,
Rapper,
you
you're
search
fucking
now.
mushy
Search.
bastardo. Alta.
Fucking mushy ripper. What has happened?
Yeah. Last round, guys. Last round of the solo tournament. After I'm gonna play some COD.
Absolute mushy ripper.
So, as I said, some people can still win. You need a good round like D-Dead had. So, Fuad is good.
Fucking mushy ripper. What has happened?
Momo is good. Fuad, D-Den, Luca Machine, Jaffa,
Alta, with your
and
fucking
Hercules
shit,
and Hokies and Aryan maybe.
You absolute mushy ripper.
Oh my god, oh my gosh, this is the mushy.
Godverdomme, Ripper. Moes.
Search, gentlemen.
Ripper, you're like a fucking die ball.
I
Like
feel
a softball
90%
egg.
just quit.
God save the Queen.
Nah.
Godverdomme, Ripper.
Okay, now I'm 100% sure that it's Toxic Aim playing for cheap gas. Or cheap gas fucking account.
Fucking mushy ripper. What has happened?
Take my money and put it on your bank account, fucking Ripper.
Ah, Lazarus.
Fuck you, mushy ripper. I don't shop at fucking Walmart. Mushy bastard.
Listen, what?
He's a streamer of Firestorm as well on PC.
Reaper, you fucking kuchulu kir mushi.
He's Norwegian.
Rapper, you're fucking mushy bastardo. Alta.
Soft bread ripper mushy, Alter.
Guys, last round of this solo tournament.
You absolute mushy ripper.
After this, I'm gonna play some COD.
Ripper, you're like a fucking die ball.
GG's to Cheap
Like a
Gas with the
softball
gifted
egg.
subs. Thank
God
you very
save the
much
Queen.
for putting the people, the poor people, some subs so they don't have to watch any,
Bogdan, the best pilot.
any, how we call that? Any,
Mushi Alta.
how's it called?
Make me crazy.
Any, fuck, how's it called? Commercials.
Soft bread ripper mushy,
Maxima
Alter.
subscribe, GG's Alta. Ads, advertising, ads. Thank you.
Fucking Ripper Mushi.
10,000 bits.
Oh my god, Alta
Soft bread
man.
ripper mushy, Alter.
Alta, du spielst, collega man. Laat me hier, man. Zie de side, Alta, man. Du spielst, collega man.
Reaper, you fucking kuchulu kir mushi.
Bro, man, du spielst, collega man. Let me take 5 shots.
Ripper mushy, Alter.
Take 5 and I take 5.
I take 5, you take 5, man. Oh.
What we want, Ripper?
Alta, man. Wow. Guys, big GG's to fucking see the sides, Alta.
3.
Bro, Nero, wow, look at this.
Soft bread ripper mushy, Alter.
Wow. Sinuside Alta.
I am Bogdan, the best
I don't give a
pilot
shit, I play what I want.
Fucking Ripper Mushi
Wow.
Alta.
My 5, Ripper, now it's up to you.
You didn't do your 5, you liar.
No, I did my 5.
What 5, man?
I am
Sinuside, man,
Where
fuck.
you going?
Pilot in
Big
Firestorm.
bum. Where you
Fucking
going?
Ripper Mushi Alta.
Pilots make
Oh, only bits, sorry, man, cheap.
Where you going?
Every 1,000 bits, one shot. Cheers, that's
I am
one.
Bogdan, the best pilot in Firestorm.
You did 5, sub me.
Mushi Alta.
I did 5.
pilots.
You didn't do 5 in 2 minutes, no. She's lying.
I'm Norwegian, what the fuck do you expect from me? Honestly.
Rapper,
Oh, she's lying, guys. Number 2.
bastardo. Alta.
How she should do 5 when I'm not even drinking 5?
Fucking Reaper, Mushi Alta.
Pilot.
You know how
Number 3.
easy it is if you shot, pour shot, pour shot, pour shot.
Take my money and put it on your bank account, fucking Ripper.
Yeah, shut up, but somebody's lying, she didn't do.
No, I'll send you the bottle.
Okay guys, tournament
Like,
3, number 3. Number 4. And number 5. Somebody do your 5. Alta. GG's in the chat for Sinocide.
Emotional damage.
Oh, it's Russian shots. It's Russian.
Around. Nothing's ever gonna keep you down. Brother, thank you for the fucking.
I'm gonna jump in Guderos, guys. I'm gonna jump in Guderos. I'm gonna jump in Guderos. GG's to Sinocide, and GG's to Cheap Gas, and GG's to all the other bidders. Hercules, Nero, thank you. Thank you for Soppy, for commentating with me. Thank you for Airborne.
thank you, Ripper, for making this tournament.
Was fun, was good. I love Firestorm, we all love it. Still gonna have tournaments a little bit, but we gonna focus more on Warzone.
And I'm gonna pass out soon, because I actually did do my Firestorm.
We gonna focus more on Firestorm.
I just don't know, Ripper, how you guys drink, but in the regions we drink heavily.
No, sub me. Oh, look, everybody's coming. Sub me, sub me, sub me, sub me. Jumpers is dead. No! Jumpers is not gonna win this tournament. Jumpers! What up, young soul? Jumpers is not gonna win this tournament. Jumpers is out. He's ending with 15.3 points. Welcome, welcome everybody. Thank you for the new followers. Thank you, Soup. Welcome, man. Soon we gonna do Warzone tournaments and stuff and shit, and even Cheap Gas gonna be happy. So, remember, last round, let's focus on the game. Who are we watching? Started time, sub me.
I started.
Holy fat. Aryan is the guy we are watching. See the side, please stop bumping or whatever that means. I don't know, where are you from, young soup? The last round of the tournament. Aryan is going for it. No plays, no nothing. How's he gonna make it?
I am watching Jigsaw.
See the side, you already know me naked, man. I can give you private pictures. On Sylvester, I show you my pee-pee, man. Ooh, Aryan is gonna get the minute or not? Ooh, there's 2 people inside. Is that fucking teamers? GG's Choppers. Good job, good tournament, bro. You're gonna be in the top 7 position, I think. Aryan needs the points. 1 minute already for Aryan.
Yep, 1 minute 16.
Oh, that means wow, with the first kill, Aryan had 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute 37.
And what about the
It's up to 7 seconds now.
Wawa had 1 kill, and let's see how many times you're gonna have. I know this guy is somebody that make a new account. I'm pretty sure about that. And he can or she can still win the tournament. So we're gonna see what that is. But $25 for the winner, man. I'm very excited. What is this fake cheap gas? Guys, somebody need to stop this guy. Sabi, you okay or not?
I'm good.
Oh, she's so done. Guys, she is done.
I'm sending the picture on the Discord of the bottle that I bought.
I'm not gonna show anything.
No,
I think
I'm
it's also a
sending
little
it
bit
from-
of a digger movement. I don't want to say anything.
Everyone can see, so absolutely everyone can see that I actually shot it quite a lot tonight because that bottle was full.
I also think that's a little bit of a digger movement, but we don't care. Everybody's allowed to sign up in the tournament. I just don't know why I don't take the real name. Ooh, oh my god, Bombas. 2 kills for what we were?
He's up to 1 minute 37.
But if it's gonna be Digger or somebody, oh my god. Oh shit!
And
That's
on
1 minute.
146,
Nice, Fizban. If it's gonna be Digger or somebody that's gonna win the tournament, I'm gonna correct the KD. Fizban with 1 kill and the time is starting.
Yeah, but you
California.
never announced
Nice.
anywhere about the KD, so if they made a new account.
Fizban. Because then it's fake and then it's cheating and then I don't give a shit. No problem, Bamas. It's all good. I still love you. Even though you're soft, I still love you, bro.
I have one guy, my guy is taking the objective. Jigsaw.
Fizban, he's taking the time, guys. Believe in Fizban. Fizban, he is on 35 seconds. He has a kill. Who is this guy? Oh, he missed totally his fucking rocket launcher.
Oh my god, my dude picked just up a pink Suomi and he has a blue car and a V1.
Okay, relax, Sammy Albin.
Fizban has reached a minute.
Fizban is going for that extra point, but maybe he get an extra kill if he has the balls. Come on, go for that sniper shots. Be the ball man. No problem, bum ass. Soft. Fizban, go for that fight. Don't run away. That's the mistake all the time the people that are not so strong doing. Don't run away when you almost had the guy down. Don't run away. Push.
Almost 145 now.
Oh my god. Okay, he has 1 extra point. Nero is coming on the big screen.
Yeah, I put him. Time for him.
Starting the time for Nero. He got 1 kill. Ooh, that no
was the
points.
longest.
Unforgiven.
13
Let's
seconds.
fucking go. Unforgiven with 1 kill and starting the time now.
Yup, I'm up to 8 seconds on him.
Is that a European lobby?
Yup.
Okay, Unforgiven, just run away. Oh, Chief Gas just destroyed Unforgiven, sorry. But he has at least, that is Cheap Gas. Is it that Cheap Gas? There he is. There is that warrior. Is that Cheap Gas? The North? Nice. The last round. Laurent. Some people say it's Laurent. I think also it's Laurent. But
Some people or Sapni said it.
yeah, something you said it. GG's.
Yeah, I'm quite a detective.
Fizban, I told you you should not run because you almost had this guy with the sniper down. You should have just pushed him. You didn't. Then Nero comes. The other guy comes. You die. Simple math, my friend. Simple math. So guys, after I think we had a pretty good tournament with a lot of players, I think maybe we still should do a 1 squad tournament. What do you think, Sapmi?
Definitely.
Can we get some
I'll
squads
be here
together?
to get drunk with you and commentate with you. No problem.
I think we still can get one squad tournament together.
Yeah, definitely. You saw how many people wanted to play today.
That was awesome,
And I
yeah.
mean-
Some people didn't show up. I'm a little bit disappointed of them, but what can you do?
Look, Papa is gonna push Lucy and Randy and Dr. Snoopy and...
Papa didn't show up for the last 3 rounds. Disappointed. Randy's
Our
disappointed
guys
me.
are fighting, Ripper. Mine is losing hard.
Okay, Herr Norman, we accept you as a leader of the bot. Cheap Gas is pushing hard. Ooh, oh my god, he just destroyed Jigsaw.
Imagine if Cheap Gas actually signed up. How much points would he have?
He would probably... No, actually he would not win because only 1 round counts of that, so...
Yeah, but I mean, like, he had some good rounds in the first part. Yeah, and then he had a good round last, not first.
Don't forget that we gonna have... As we are a small community with Firestorm and everything, we're gonna have a lot of people playing Warzone now. It's good, I played also, I like it. We're gonna bring this community from Firestorm to Warzone. So we're gonna make private tournament. We're gonna start in 2 weeks already, even there is no private lobbies. So prepare yourself to get your clan together and we're gonna start that shit. So I hope everybody's gonna be ready.
I'm gonna do my homework, read up on the map and on the guns.
Yeah, you should start to play and everything and
No, I played.
but we're still gonna have a little bit of Firestorm in between so we don't forget where we came from, of course. But I think every time there is a step that you have to move on, so...
I did talk to a friend of mine. He wanted to play this tournament, but he's a real sweat. Warzone.
I think Warzone is pretty cool, but... Ooh, what? Oh, you guys, it's only 9 players. Where is Jaffa? Where are all the other guys? Hercules, Luca Machine is dead.
D-Dan is killing me.
Happy shot. Shot, Zombie.
Airborne.
Bro, I killed more than a half bottle of the Captain Morgan, guys. Come on, man. I gotta be so wasted. Huh?
Did you have 1 liter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a half liter of the fucking... shut up, Bob-ass, man. These were old man with the 1,000 bits. Ooh, yo. Guys, if you still want to win this tournament, you have to show it now.
Push him. He has a Suomi. Be careful doing long distance. GG, D-Dan is on the clock.
Okay, but I have to remember you, D-Dan is not gonna make...
He has to kill the whole server.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because...
Then he would have the best round.
He doesn't... Oh, okay.
Jaffa
Now it's
on
gonna
the
count.
clock.
Now Jaffa is here. He got the kill, D-Dan. No, we don't have to count it because...
No, it was 20 seconds.
He already had a good round.
Yeah.
So Jaffa can win this tournament now, guys. Who is Team Jaffa?
But it's definitely, I'm Team D-Dan all the way.
Eden is still in the winning position. Jaffa needs to...
Keep his shit together.
Jaffa needs... how much he has? He has 13.65 points. Jaffa needs at least 9 points more.
Sto cazzo di un grandissimo figlio di puttana di Ripper.
What?
Fuck off!
And 5 minutes, then he will
Oh
win.
my god, Snoopy just donated $100 for the Warzone pot. You sure it's for the Warzone pot or what is that? Snoopy, oh my fucking god. Or is it for the squad tournament? We're gonna put the half for the squad tournament?
So rich. So
Oh
rich.
man.
He donates to you all the time.
Bro, he keep the fucking Firestorm alive. He put donations for the fucking Battlefield League. He's the guy that made you guys all play. Fuck,
How much does
GG's.
it cost with 1,000 bits in euros? I'm just wondering.
18? It depends in the country.
In the
So,
Norway,
Firestormer.
2,000 crowns, which is...
Let's say we put the $50 aside for the next squad tournament for sure. So we put the next $50 in the squad tournament from the Firestorm, is that correct? Okay, stop me. Take 5 shots and I take 5 shots and the other $50 we put on a Firestorm squad tournament, is that correct?
No, stopping the time. He went to the vehicle.
Yeah, stopping the time. We had 2 minutes.
Yep. No,
This
not
time
even.
doesn't count in the chopper.
155 Ripper.
I have 157, yeah. So 10 shots up me. 5 me, 5 you.
I did one, I'm waiting for you, come on. Be quick.
Oh, me and Sabi.
Yeah, we're gonna do it together so you don't cry again about me. Cheating. Lying. Come on.
Number 2. Oh my god.
Yep. Down.
I don't know how Sabi can drink so fast because I'm getting drunk and I'm pretty alcoholic, man.
Start time again.
3. GG's guys, we're gonna do a squad tournament this year. I go, stop. Hey.
Number
Echo.
4 Ripper, come on.
I have a problem with the dog. Aiko, stop. Guys, we're gonna do a squad Christmas tournament. I trust Sabi because she's drinking, she's not a pussy, and I hear her voice. I get 2 more.
Fuck you. Fuck you, Snoopy. I don't like you. You're a cool guy, but you fucking fucked me up right now. Jaffa is dead.
So Jaffa got the 2 minutes. And the 1 kill.
Yeah. No, he got 1 minute and plus 1 minute, so yeah.
2 minutes, and now we're going for Fuad with the kill.
Because he didn't quite make the first one, you know.
Yeah, Fuad has a kill, and now it's taking time.
Yeah, it's on 16 seconds, GG.
Jaffa had only 1 kill on the live stream, is that correct?
Yeah, and that was the one he killed, the one on the screen.
So, the time is here. D10 or Fuad. And I don't know who are the other guys. They still have to kill.
I don't think...
Okay, I take my last shot, GG, Snoopy, man.
Yeah, I took 5.
You took 5, liar, man.
I took them with you, you're just so fucking using forever.
So Fuad can win this tournament or D10. I don't know who's gonna win it, and still... But there's still some other people who can win this.
Even Herr Norman called me a trooper.
I don't even know what that means, but yeah, GG's.
You don't know what a trooper means?
I don't know. What does it mean?
It means someone who fights through all obstacles and still going strong, even though life pushes and gives him shit.
I thought the trooper is the guy who fucking likes assholes, but okay.
Sure.
Not really, I thought it's, I don't know, because when Norman says it, for me it's that shit, but maybe somebody else, something else. Not enough, no cheers.
Well, the correct translation is someone who pushes through every obstacle in life.
Okay, I thought it's somebody that troops assholes, but yeah. I probably was that, but our Norman is acting like it was not. Alright, is Fuad gonna win this tournament? He's gone into the 2nd minute.
He's calling you Ribur now.
Yeah, he always called me Ribur, I know why. We have intimate, how to say, intimate...
Your voice just cracked so hard.
I'm drunk, what the fuck you want? Ah, I know your trooper shit was fucking gay. I think Fuad can win this. I know my Norman, he's gay as fuck, man. And Trooper shit with his Trooper stuff, something with assholes, man.
If you guys thought that Trooper was with assholes to do, then you guys have really bad English.
Tell me it was not, guys. Tell me it was not something about assholes. But guys, Fuad, I'm gonna check Fuad's stats. Fuad was on 16 points, 17, 18, 19 points. He still needs 4 points. Wait, guys.
3 minutes.
Wait. He needs the win. If he doesn't win, or he doesn't get more time, then Eden is gonna win this tournament, I think. I just don't want to say it. I don't want to jinx it, but...
Eden, he's sitting there biting his nails, waiting for the final answer.
He didn't win. There were so many other people that played so much better.
What you mean?
Oh, I'm talking about this cheap gas. He only killed like 2 people and he was running a lot. So he was not really good. But Fuad... is he going for the win or is he gonna attack? Because he needs to get the kill at least.
He can definitely do it if
He can win. Diden is still in the lead. Diden is gonna win this tournament if Fuad is not gonna do anything. Fuad needs to go for the kills. Okay, Hercules is down. That means teamers on Hercules. And that's 2 against Fuad. If Fuad is gonna go down now against the teamers. Oh, 4 minutes for... Oh my god. That was 4 minutes. Oh my god.
One thing, and that is that Diden is the winner.
Yes, give me a second. But it looks like... Yeah. Happy. We gotta count the points. What had the 4? That means 6 extra. Oh my god, that looks like that. Diden doesn't matter. Crow Garden doesn't matter.
I agree with Hercules. Fuad definitely needs more recognition because he is, after all, a really good player. But I did knife him.
I don't give a shit.
I did knife him.
We are not gonna suck anybody's assholes up me.
No, I did. I have a clip on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel where I knife Fuad with a cricket bat in Firestorm.
So you wanna say you are destroying Fuad?
I'm just saying that I killed the great Fuad with a cricket bat before I even met any of you guys.
It's okay. So, GG's in the chat. I'm gonna say that who won this tournament is Mr. And I think he deserved it even.
Yeah, he does.
And he has some hard times in Ukraine and the war and stuff. But GG's to Diden, my man, Diden. I don't know if he's in the stream, probably he is. Fucking big GG's to Diden. First place for Diden. Second place for Fuad. Then we have the third place for this Wawa Woo Woo guy. Fourth place for Mr. Ooh, Jaffa, how many he has? He had 3, 2, 4 points more. Sorry. 17, that means Jaffa is on the third place. Wawa is on the fourth place. Then we have 5th place we have Jumpers. Then we have fucking Cheap Gas in YP. 5-star. Then we have...
I cannot put a link.
What?
I'm gonna put it in Ripper's Discord. The clip of me killing Fuad with a cricket bat.
Okay, sub me.
Yeah.
5, 6. Luca Machine, GG's good tournament. 6th place for Luca Machine. 7th place for Fizburn. 8th place for Hercules. 9 plays for Aryan, and 10 plays for... I don't know, somebody. GG's, guys. Good job, everyone. I'm gonna stop the YouTube stream. Guys, give me a second. I'm gonna just stop the YouTube stream and